Hey folks, I think we are live. Welcome everyone to the stream. Sorry for the late start. We were kind of just setting up our stream here today. But we have a lot of games to look at. We've got today's games, two from
Yep.
the Super group, two from the Rising Stars group. We also have all of yesterday's games that we can look at that I haven't seen yet. Probably most of you guys haven't seen either. So
Is that
yeah,
me?
bunch of chess. David saw them, said they were pretty interesting.
Yep.
So I'm sure we'll find a moment today to take a look at them.
Yeah, 3 decisive games yesterday out of 4. It was action packed.
Oh, nice. Hey, Counter Sparks. Yeah, I've got the pairings up here. I think I'm gonna be adding intermittently new things to the layout. So, because we're in their Zoom meeting, we're in this breakout room. We're not going to be able to have like video, the webcams of the players. But on the plus side, this will make things like 10 times easier when it comes to the interviews because we'll be able to just grab players and put them in here with us, and we can discuss with them after the games.
I'm hearing an echo on you, Kostya.
Yeah. Uh, I heard too. Maybe you could put in headphones, David. I don't know if that's what we need.
I can do that, but it sounds like you're watching the broadcast on your computer.
Oh, hold on. Maybe I am. No, that's muted.
No? Okay, I still hear it with headphones.
Oh, you still hear it?
Maybe I'm watching this in more places myself.
Yeah, the echo's gone for me. I don't hear anything anymore.
Okay, fixed.
Nice.
Should be good.
Cool.
Sorry about that.
No, no worries. I am just adding the
I
other
had my
pairings for
Twitch
today.
I had my Twitch channel open somewhere else in some other window, and apparently it went to auto host on your channel, which is good, or on our channel, which is good because that is what it should do, I think.
Nice. Yeah, David, actually, do you want to talk a little bit about what you saw in the games yesterday? I'm just going to put up the pairings from the Rising Star group.
Yeah, I mean, I can try and give like the 1 sentence summary first of where the players are at, and then of course we could always look at the games at some point and see what you think. And obviously, a 1 sentence version is usually going to be somewhat oversimplified. But broadly speaking, what I saw yesterday was an extremely confident Mamedyarov, extremely confident, disposing of Jeffrey very confidently and weirdly. And then I saw, to my eyes, sort of an out of sorts or tilted Lei Kwang Liem, just losing horribly to Fedoseev. Sort of by horribly I mean like unnecessarily. Like me during my Blitz games last night. Just like something's wrong, and you just like, you either can't figure out the balance or you don't even care, and you just keep getting yourself killed. So that put Fedoseev on a plus score, +1. And it also left Lei Kwang Liem at 0 out of 3. And I think it's going to be pretty tough for him to try and right the ship. On top of which, he's got black today against Shock, who is, as I said, looking really good to me yesterday. So
Yeah, unfortunately, Lee Kwang Lam just hasn't been able to score yet, which always happens. I mean, like every once in a while in these small events, like just someone just kind of gets a bit unlucky against everybody, and yeah, just has a hard time.
yeah. And once that starts, it can keep going.
Yeah, that's the hardest part. Is that once people know that you're kind of the one that's out of form, they try harder against you and
Yeah.
right pose you with more problems that you might not be able to, we might not be in the right condition to solve.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now, my guess would be that it's kind of like a nightmare for Liam. And, the question is, does he have the motivation and the resources to get out of the nightmare?
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that's probably harder to do online as well, right? Compared to in person.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you're just because you're if we're just playing online, it's just kind of the same thing over and over again. But in person, at least, like you have to show up and right, you have to feel like there's some kind of intrinsic motivation of wanting to do your best.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, um, do you want to see where the positions are right now, or do you want me to
Yeah,
send
I
you one
think
of the
we can
games from
start
yesterday?
looking through the games. Which game would you like to start with?
Um, let's start with Lei Kwang Liam and Shakriar's game, since they're who we're talking about most at the moment. Opposite sides of the table right now. 2.5 out of 3 for Mamad Yarov.
Yeah, sounds good. Then I want to come back to this a Wonder Param game because they've got a King's Indian.
Okay.
But yeah, we've got Shock now with White against the Kwang Liam. Oh, so this is like the most brutal matchup of the tournament. This is like the leader in top seed
Yep.
who's doing well
Mm-hmm.
against. I don't know if Kwang Liam's the lowest rated, but he's probably third or fourth, and currently at the bottom of the tournament and playing black.
Right. He's higher rated than Fedoseev, but Fedoseev has 2 points more than him in 3 rounds so far. So obviously in trouble. 2 days ago, we saw the opposite colors of this pairing with Mamad Yarov with black, and he played a very, very good game. So I was surprised by this C5 move on move 5. I didn't really know about that move. It makes sense insofar as with the pawn on A6, B6 is less of a problem, but it's still, I don't know. When he trades off on B6, it looks like a exchange Slav that's not particularly crushing. I don't know. I guess the lights where bishop can't get out, and white has one knight move against a couple pawn moves, which may or may not matter, but A6, B5 is pretty normal expansion. So I wasn't sure how much this should matter as far as generating any special pressure from white.
Yeah, as far as I know, this isn't the way to refute the opening, but this A6 line it's been like last few years actually just turns out black has another move in this position that's like fine if they know it well.
Yeah. And a little bit of a surprising move, honestly, to me. But if a player as well versed as Mamad Yarov doesn't have anything really more special in mind than C5 and trading into this exchange Slav, then A6 must not have anything obviously wrong about it that all the top players know. So,
yeah, no clear refutation. Or he's just hiding prep for when like the real tournaments come back, right? Like,
but that could be so long. I mean, I think you just play what you've got in front of you.
That's a good point. Yeah, I don't know. Because he spent a minute and 43 seconds on it, so like that's a very deceptive number. Just first instinct, that makes me feel like he doesn't want to show his main stuff. And he was like, okay, what else can I play here that's just kind of playable? I don't want to take too long, so it looks like, just I'm just like completely out of book and like improvising. But like, what can I play here? I'm like that I'm definitely not going to be worse out of the opening. I can maybe ask one question, because these guys probably have secondary options, and comes up with C5.
Yeah, 1 minute and 43 seconds also feels to me like a fake think, possibly. Like, you have something prepared. You don't want them to know that you're prepared, like you were mentioning the other day. So you like pretend to think about something. You were saying that Grishuk will sometimes do this for an hour. But a lot of people don't want to spend 20 minutes on a fake thing, right? So
Yeah. Well, he's obviously not going to pretend like he's out of book after A6. Like, oh,
right.
I haven't seen this system.
No, but you could pretend like you're picking your line and you didn't specifically prepare for it versus like if you play it in 1 second, then they know that you were planning for it.
Yeah, that's very true. If his response was like within 10 15 seconds, then the Kwang Liam knows like, okay, he maybe wasn't 100% preparing it, but he's like obviously comfortable in the system. He doesn't have any doubt or anything to consider.
Right.
So, yeah, interesting. I mean, Black responded pretty quickly, so clearly this wasn't much of a surprise for Liam.
Yeah.
And
And Mamedyarov continued using some time, a few minutes on 95, a few minutes to trade on C6 here at move 10.
yeah, so now this
Even though
was
Liam was doing a
six
very
and a half
logical.
minutes on knight takes c6,
Mhm.
and then yeah, another 7.5 on a3. So this indicates that now he's like kind of on his own.
Mhm. Yeah. And my general instinct would be that he has nothing, that the position's pretty close to equal. But I suppose White's light squared bishop is always a little bit better than Black's light squared bishop. So maybe there's always a little something.
Yeah, I feel like it's tiny bit of pressure for White. I like this queen f3 move. I think this is a pretty typical classical plan to get the queen over to h3. Maybe think about like bishop g5, putting pressure on h7. But that's
Mhm.
usually with Black's bishop on e7. So with the bishop on d6 already, as soon as White plays queen h3, Black can consider taking on f4.
Yeah.
And that structure is a little double-edged.
Yeah. I mean, to me, it feels like this game's going to play through the C file. But then White is playing very slowly as far as how quickly he's getting rooks to the C file. So maybe he's planning to play G4, G5 or something. Maybe he's holding back that kind of an option.
That's definitely a thing in this structure, 100%. Um, but okay, bishop takes f4. Now I feel like now White just castles kingside here most of the time
Mm-hmm.
and just plays against
You
light
would,
square
you would,
bishop.
you would never recapture. You just
Wait, what?
castle.
Yeah, yeah. Don't take the bishop. Just castle kingside.
Just
Once
castle
Black,
king side. It's decided now. There's
Yeah.
no other plan.
it's funny. Now, so Siddhartha says when you have 1.5 hours all alone at home, he would be
I
very
know.
tempted. Check the engine.
I know I want to address it, but Siddhartha needs a whole like therapy session. I don't know if we have time for that here.
I just want to say, like, it's, I guess it's natural, but these players, number one, they're like on camera, so there's like some really strict anti-cheating measures, but it's
Mhm.
more than that. It's more just kind of like they know it's wrong. If the game is serious, then they know it's like 100% wrong and inexcusable. So it's almost like it's not even a decision.
Right.
Um,
It's also just completely pointless. I mean, when you cheat, among the people you're cheating is yourself. So it's just a complete waste. Like here they are stuck at home with nothing to do for 4 months except play Blitz. And then finally, some wonderful organizer, and I just can't help but think what wonderful people the PNWCC, Pacific Northwest Chess Club people must be for organizing this event
yeah.
and giving us something to watch like this and giving them something to play. So finally, some wonderful people come along, organize this event. You finally got a chance to play chess, and you're like, I'll just let an engine beat up on Lei Kwang Liam, who's 0-3, and I'll just let this like engine beat up on him while I sit here and choose not to play chess. It makes no sense. I don't see what's tempting about that.
Well, I think people who cheat just have like real serious
Ego problems.
difficulties. Yeah. I mean, so like take someone who starts a tournament 0-3. I feel like they would have a much bigger inspiration, let's say, to get help if they're just like, oh, I can't do this, and they kind of check out. And I feel like that's what like a lot of players who cheat, they've kind of like stalled out, and so they just need something, and feels like that is kind of the reasoning. But
Don't use it during any position, Siddhartha. Oh man, Siddhartha, no, just no. Never, never, never cheat. Oh, it doesn't matter who wins or loses. It matters to play.
right. No, I mean, look,
It's
if
making me
you
so sad, Kostya.
if you cheat, people think like, oh, if I cheat, if I don't get caught, it's fine. Like, no, like you'll know that you cheated. Like you'll know for the rest of your life that you're a
Also,
cheater.
people who cheat once tend to continue cheating. And then they become people like, you know, not to get political, but, you know, like
Roger
political
Stone.
people.
I just everything you're thinking, I was like Roger Stone, and now he's in jail. You see, guys. So that's what happens. Queen B8, fighting for the diagonal.
This is a great move, Kostya. His idea is that if the queens trade, he can play rook fb8, threatening b4 to open the b file when white's pieces aren't quite ready. And if white plays b4, he can play a5, and he's got both rooks over there.
Yeah, very rare case where like the F rook swings over, the A rook just stays here, but it makes total sense because black needs it for the queenside play.
Yeah. I mean, even that, it's not like 100% clear that the game is dead. You know, white can leave the pawn on b4 and let black play a5 and stuff and just play king d2. And, you know, black still has the slightly worse bishop, has to defend b5, but, you know, black really narrows and simplifies the game there.
Yeah, you know, I feel like we had this structure in, not we, but I saw this structure in one of the games from the candidates earlier. I think it was like Wang Hao was white against Giri. And it's basically this like AB structure. And Wang Hao was actually very close to winning that game. He had a huge advantage. He ended up winning this pawn. Basically, like, he just kind of defended his own b pawn, like put his rook on b1, maybe b3, other rook on b1, tied black down to b5, and then at the right moment switched his rook back to like c5, and then black just couldn't hold the pawn. So yeah, definitely some chances here for white to push for an edge. But shot goes knight e2, so he just wants to trade and get his own knight to f4. But now let's say black did take, knight takes f4, and then when rook fb8, does white really have time? I guess he would want the knight to come to d3, but does he really? Doesn't feel like he has time for that.
Definitely not. It would be an amazing square for the knight, and the knight is closer to it after that. So that's good. The other thing is black can play b4 here without trading, right? Like white didn't want to take on b8 and bring the black rook to b8, but black doesn't necessarily want to trade and bring the white knight closer to d3. So if black doesn't mind playing queen b4 check here, then there's no reason black couldn't just play b4 right now. And I'm sure everybody watching can tell that black has no problem with playing queen b4 check.
Right. Yeah. I mean, what is white gonna... Well, let's say white just plays a4. Maybe he wants some kind of structure like this where, again, the knight eventually wants to come to d3, use c5 square, use e5 square, put pressure on b4. We close the a and b files down, and I would say we probably leave this pawn on b2. Maybe we put it on b3 in some cases, but maybe we leave it on b2 to cover the c3 square. But I don't know where white's light squared bishop is going. It's like e2.
Yeah. I don't know. I think I would feel pretty comfortable playing b4 for black here.
Seems like that was the idea, but he's thinking about it.
I might even have the advantage for black, Kostya, by now.
You think black could be better?
Yeah, because the white rook's on h1, and I'm already starting to threaten something on the b file when white's rooks aren't connected. And, you know, I'm in position to play bishop b5 and trade the light squared bishop at any point, which is my only negative factor for black, right? The only thing that black has going against them is that bishop.
Right, but if you play b4 and white plays a4, I mean, how does black get the
B3.
counterplay here? So b3, let's say white trades on b8, rook f takes,
Yeah.
and let's say white goes
A5 to avoid A5 rook B4 from black.
yeah. Well, a5 you get bishop b5, so I don't know.
Don't. Yeah.
I
I
was
think whatever you
thinking-
do, black's good.
I was thinking knight c3,
Okay.
and
You're gonna defend it from there. Yeah.
and if a5, yeah, we don't necessarily have to play something to b5, but maybe the idea is like bishop b5 at some point.
Right. Yeah, I suppose you can play like that. That definitely keeps the game going. I would say there's no just to that position, which
Yeah.
Sam asked me not to do.
But I still feel like I take white here, you know, as long as black has this bishop. I guess internally I just feel like white is the one who has any chances here. But maybe that's too dogmatic. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, what if the black light squared bishop is attacking a4? It's found something to do. I don't feel like any dramatic worries for black. And I suppose I don't even need to play b3 for black. Now that I see your knight c3 move is pretty good, you know, maybe black should just leave the pawn on b4. It's on a dark square. It's giving him some space. Maybe after a4, he should just put his rook on the c file or something and play from there.
Hey, Liam Putnam. Thanks for the cheer. How's it going, Liam? I think you were in my class yesterday for the US Chess School, right?
Oh, you're teaching chess school right now.
Yeah, I've been doing them every few weeks.
Oh, wow. Cool.
Yeah, it's been great. It's been actually one of the few highlights of the quarantine, because those classes are a lot of fun. There's always like 80 kids, and
Whoa.
yeah,
Bigger than it used to be now that you can all cram into Zoom, huh?
yeah. In the old days, it was like 10 kids. I want to switch to the game between Jeffrey Zhang and Fedoseev.
Yeah, I was gonna say the same thing, Blue Crew. There's some cool stuff to see. So let's look at this. Jeffrey playing the London system without h3.
Yeah.
So the bishop sort of gets corralled here. By Fedoseev.
Fedoseev is he plays his openings a lot of times, I feel like a madman. Like he really takes a lot of risks.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And this is like just fascinating position already.
Yeah.
that we
It's
have
like
on the board.
extreme confidence while seeking for something unusual.
Right.
Right? Like he thinks if he gets something unusual, even if it's sort of objectively a little bit bad, he's going to like pull it off somehow with genius.
Yeah, very dynamic. Kind of reminds me of like a Morozevich.
Mm-hmm.
Except I don't really know, like I haven't heard one way or the other about Fedoseev and his like preparation, whether he's usually like really well prepared or if he's like improvising. I haven't heard anything one way or the other.
Right.
But Morozevich was known to be like super well prepared. He would analyze a lot of stuff like very deep and come up with all kinds of like interesting ideas.
Right. The weird stuff was super backed up. Whereas here it sometimes feels like he's just coming up with it. But I think the critical moment, since we've got several games to watch and so forth, would be to go to move 10 and look at the move c4 that he chooses to make. Kind of a big
This was his
Good one,
first thing
Starger.
too.
Fedoseev this year was a teammate of Nakamura's on the New York Marshals in the Pro Chess League, and from that they started playing a bunch of like practice games against each other online. So, yeah.
Nice.
All right. So, what do you think of this C4 decision, Kostya? Because the beginner version of this is, oh, you're releasing the tension in the center. Now White has a free hand to play E4 with no with D4 being so safe now. So, beginner error. And if you were teaching a 1200 rated student and they played this game as black, you would probably launch into that lesson without even thinking twice here.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, if a 1200 student of mine played this game as black, then I would tell them, depending on their age, some version of like what the F is this? Okay. It's like, I mean, it's very, yeah, for a beginner this is not right. Like they should just put their pieces in the center and then catch their opponent's blunders, because they're also playing possibly a 1200 rated player and someone's going to blunder at something at some point, and they got to be on top of it while like playing good strategic moves. So yeah, this kind of stuff would just be like so extravagant, I think, for that level.
Okay. Yeah. Now, since he's 2700, we don't instantly criticize C4.
Yeah, because this move is very playable.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, there's lots of openings where black will do this. I mean, there are moments in the French when this is okay, and like Rogozin and QGD. So yeah, I mean, especially since black can back it up with b5, I think this is really important. So I guess the long-term idea is just to play b4, take on c3, leave white with this weakness, and then play like queen a5 and target this pawn at some point. Now, whether this is actually like okay for black, I have no idea. It could just be terrible. I honestly don't know.
Knight to g7. I thought that he was going to chill there for a while because it looked like he even has the hop on f4 at times. But okay, he brings it back. My general take on these positions is I always prefer white's initiative in the center versus black's initiative on the queen side.
Yeah, I feel the same.
Okay.
I would always take white here.
All right.
But I wouldn't always win.
Yeah. There's many reasons why we might not always win. But yeah, I would play rook e1. And then, I'm looking at e5 or e takes. d5 at the moment, you're threatening e5, e5, bishop f6. So you might convince black to commit his king.
Now it seems like it's time to castle.
Okay. I think that's something that white would like to see. He'd like to know where the black king is settling down. And once black castles kingside, you might then play e5. Because now you don't necessarily need an open e-file. But more space advantage might help you to attack the king side.
Yeah. Honestly, after e5, this is starting to look like, very French-like. But yeah, it doesn't feel like a great version of the French for black. Because now, like in the French, c4 is usually not great, especially in like the Tarrasch positions that this kind of resembles now.
Well, that's what I was trying to say. c4 is usually bad in every opening.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I feel like usually is strong. I think it's bad like maybe... I mean, it's a majority of the time.
Yeah.
Like,
but I mean,
80%.
So the thing is, like, it may sometimes not be bad, but I don't even realize that it's not bad, right? Like, in my experience, it's almost always bad. And seeing Fedoseev play it today is making me go like, whoa, wait, is there more to c4 than I thought? I mean, I'll sometimes see white play it in the Queen's Gambit decline versions, right? Like Slavs where black has played something extravagant like a6 or maybe rook a7 even. But when you're black, it's even harder to pull off something like this where you take the tension off the center and give white a free hand. I guess white played the London, so maybe black feels more like, doesn't feel like they're black that much.
No, I don't know. I personally just feel like against the London, black does have a lot of scope to I guess do things that I don't know are not so weird. I mean, I'm also thinking, you know, the line where both sides put their queens on like b6 and b3, then black pushes c4 in that position.
Right.
So there, I mean, white gives up a lot of time to induce this move.
Right.
Which kind of justifies it. Here, it wasn't really the case. I don't see what black has gotten exactly. I mean, white's bishop is on c2, which is a nice diagonal.
Right.
In the Winnower French, where black does play c4 quite frequently, this bishop is forced backwards. So this is not really a Winnower.
Right. So in this case, black did sort of get a tempo when they played c4, but the white bishop, you know, for that tempo, white has a bishop on c2 instead of like f1 or something. So white's maintaining a much more active piece, which in a closed position seems worth the tempo.
Yeah. Now, Siddhartha brings up a good point, actually. In the French, if white castles queenside, then we see c4 quite frequently.
Quite regularly. In fact, it's often a mistake for white to just castle queenside in certain classical variations without trading on c5 first.
Right.
Because castling queenside c4 can immediately just be a bad situation.
Yeah.
The last sensei will be coming in 1 hour and taking my place. We're going to trade off today.
Yeah, we'll switch off at 10.
Well, I'm looking forward to seeing what Fedoseev, you know, how he interprets this position, because I don't yet know why this is okay to play for black. This style here. But I would expect that he'll show me something.
No, in particular, this e5 really clarifies things for me, actually, because, like, for instance, someone, Plukru mentioned knight f5 as an option for black. But let's say white just goes bishop takes f5, and we'll say black goes ef, and we don't even worry about e6, because I don't think that's even too clear. Let's say white just trades on f6, bishop takes f6, takes, queen takes, and then white just immediately plants the knight on e5 there. Other knight is ready to support with knight df3, or I can play f3 in the future to cover the e4 square if needed.
Yeah.
Looks like a free advantage, basically.
It looks like a free game. It looks like you hardly have to think, you just plop stuff. Whoa! So this explains why he moved the knight off of h5. Yeah. If the knight were on h5, then the move knight takes g5 would be a problem. So Fedoseev had something crazy in mind. Or, I mean, maybe not crazy. Maybe this is awesome. But something very distinct in mind, right? Versus just castling here and white playing e5, and it looks like a pretty standard dark square / central space advantage for white.
That's the fun, I think, of doing commentary without an engine, is that, like, we just don't know whether this is genius or ridiculous, and we're not going to know for a little while. Like,
we'll never know. Hey,
Kostya, Jeffrey shows us. Yeah.
Jeffrey might even have a piece trapped. You realize that?
Wait, with bishop g3.
Yeah. g4.
G4. Oh.
This is going to look completely insane, but you see what I'm saying, right?
Knight h4, f5.
f5.
Wow.
Now, black can play ef5. White can play ef5, bishop takes h4, f takes e6, and it looks like black's committing suicide.
Yeah. Yeah, queen g4 coming, that's just dangerous. I mean, not dangerous, that's just like dead.
But technically, he's kind of trapping that piece, right? Because on g4, the knight only has h4. He could even wait to play f5, or he could play d takes e4, the like insanely anti-positional d takes e4, and then on knight takes e4, f5, and win a piece. There might be some version of that that's plausible. I mean, I still think just knight takes f5 from white, and it's messy rather than losing. But
Yeah, it's hard to believe that white is like that black can get away with this. It's really hard to believe. I mean, I'm not even clear that on g4, we have to go knight h4, for example. Probably we should, but
I suppose you could throw an e takes d5 there to open the e file. Then black plays e takes d5 and then go knight h4. So now the bishop on e7 is pre-pinned.
Yeah, white can throw an e takes d5 here at any moment. That's right.
Yeah. But I don't know. He may be wanting to play g5, Kostya, because it does. Even if you don't go win that knight, it is kind of stuck over there.
Right. Now, guys, notice how Jeffrey is like thinking here, right? Like he started this move when black played g5 with a few more minutes than he has now. He's already been thinking for a couple minutes here. How many of you guys would have just played like bishop g3, instantly? It doesn't matter if it's blitz game, rapid game, 2 hours on your clock. Like every game I observe online is just like they just make the obvious move. But here he's thinking because he sensed that maybe there's g4, maybe h5 is a problem for white that should be addressed. And odds are he's probably just going to play bishop g3 anyway. But the point is like strong players, they always try to consider a position if they have options. Maybe he doesn't have any options here. Bishop g3 could just be the only move, but we don't know that unless we take like at least a few minutes to try to understand what's going on.
Yeah, g5 may be a little bit of a surprise to him, right? Anytime there's a surprise, basically, just like any serious player knows, if you get surprised, you got to pause and figure it out. Even if it looks like you've got one legal move, like you've been checked by surprise and your king can only go to one square.
Yeah. Actually, that's a really good rule. I think a lot of players follow. Yeah, if your opponent plays a move that you are not expecting, like if you had time to think about the position previously, you made your move with some kind of expectation of what your opponent is going to do, and then they surprise you with their move, you absolutely have to stop and think there, because clearly you're missing things about the position that the opponent is noticing. Now, maybe their surprise move is a blunder and terrible, but you still need to kind of think about it to exploit it properly. And yeah, actually, even if you only have one legal move, but you didn't see that your opponent had this check, it's like, what else are you missing? Maybe you don't have one legal move. Maybe you have another one.
Yeah. Exactly. You could be missing anything once you've missed something.
So yeah, I like this idea. Let's say bishop g3, g4, and white taking on d5.
Yeah.
Throwing this in, and knight h4. It's so hard to believe this for black. Like the other knight can come knight f1, knight e3, and fight for f5 square.
Yeah.
Hey. Also, Geo, thanks for the gifted sub.
Yeah, this is fantastic. Well, I think we'll come back to here in a little bit and click over to the game between Tabatabaei and Esipenko.
Sure. All right, this is Amin.
Yeah, sense of justice. It's a good thing. On the chessboard, criminals must be punished, right? Somebody plays an opening you don't like, you got to beat them down. That's your responsibility to be judge, jury, and executioner. This only applies to chess, everybody. But
okay, well, we got very theoretical QGD. This has been Naka's favorite for like a couple of years now. Rook d1, not the main move, but
I tried to play this in a blitz game recently, Kostya, and I think that I forgot to play the move a3.
Yeah, that'll do it.
It was a problem.
Yeah. Actually, maybe
Whoa, this is funky.
isn't one of the main moves. Okay, rook e8, knight d2, e5. Oh yeah, yeah. This is big theoretical line. Bishop g5, knight d4. White cannot really take this knight with black's rook on the e file. Queen b1, bishop d3. Yeah, this is all been well known.
Yeah.
b4. Get some trades.
Yeah, there was a Naka Carlsen game here also, which was drawn by like repetition immediately here, one of the early games before showing this whole way of playing. We have a relevant question from Dordum. Who is Amin Tabatabai? He is an Iranian talent, a 19-year-old GM rated about 2630 FIDE. One of this like insane crop of Iranian teenagers, you know, where their entire national team was just teenagers. And that was like 3 or 4 years ago, and they're all still teenagers. So so they were good really, really young.
Yeah, that was like, yeah, really interesting to see the last couple of years. What's been coming out of Iran?
Yeah,
in the chess world.
he should be about number 4 in Iran. There's definitely Fallujah and Maksudlu above him. He might even be number 3. I'm not sure. So yeah, like a really good player and an important part of the Iranian team.
Right. And his opponent Espenko, I think 1 year younger, 18, Russian talent, already up to like 2680. I saw him playing Waikanze, I think earlier this year. Really serious player, super strong and technical. I can see him being like the next Artemiev.
Yeah. They're like, we need one Artemiev every 4 years.
Just got to churn them out. It's really funny.
Oh shoot, Oso Gio is correctly correcting me that Fallujah is now unaffiliated by Federation.
Right, he might be more French actually than he is Iranian when it comes to his federation.
Yeah. Unfortunately, because I loved that they had like a whole team of teenagers. I rooted for them in the Olympiad, you know, every year. It's just so exciting.
Yeah.
To see a whole kid team. And to think that this country that basically was nowhere on the chess map, like, you know, 2 years before, and suddenly it's like a top 10 federation, and they're like teenagers. So you're like, well, they're going to be even better.
And on the women's side, Iran also has some really strong players.
Yeah.
And like contenders.
Yeah. And that was also just like it happened so fast, you know?
Yeah, I imagine they invested a lot of money into coaching. I think Sokolov was coaching the Iranian team. I think Agard's been there, Nigel Short. I feel like I always hear a lot of coaches traveling there.
Yeah.
I mean, I think the rumor that I've probably heard on like Chess24 is that Fallujah could switch over to the French Federation, which would be huge for France if they had MVL on 1, Fallujah on 2.
Yeah. That would be pretty insane. France is always a pretty decent team. So, but neither Kostya nor I, unfortunately, has any, you know, huge scoop. We don't chat with Fallujah about his plans. We don't have any bombshells to drop here.
No, yeah, not any true ones at least. We can make stuff up.
We could make some stuff up.
Wow, so we just saw a move here from Black after a 19-minute thing. So, okay, Espenko has been really tanking here, actually. He spent 25 minutes on Queen C8 here in this position. So I'm guessing this was his first move out of book.
And he's making me want to play H4 and then Rook takes F6, Kostya.
And I'll go to the live position. Wow. That's a nice move. So H4, move this knight away so your queen can hit H7.
Yeah. I guess there's a special pressure on Espenko here, which is his opponent has an hour and 30 minutes left at move 20. So that tells you you're well within your opponent's prep. I think the only move that Tabatabai had thought about yet was 21 f4 for 5 minutes. And when someone plays 20 moves in 1 second each and then thinks for 5 minutes, they're probably still in book. They're just double checking something. That's one of the worst feelings in all of chess, Kostya. When your opponent, when you're playing against the computer, not your opponent, and they're not cheating, it's legal. Because they just memorized the computer's moves and they're just regurgitating.
Wow, that's that's funny. Wait, so you think he's out of book on move 20, right?
Who? Tabat.
Black.
I think Black's out of book, yeah,
Right.
when he thinks for 20 minutes on Queen C8. I think that it's quite plausible that White is not yet out of book when he played F4, because 5 minutes could just be double checking.
Yeah, so that's interesting. All of White's moves were instant in the opening. Up to here, he spent 5.5 minutes, which is not that much, actually. If he was out of book, we might expect him to put in a 25-minute think like his opponent did.
Right. Or at least 15 to 20. And then also you'll see after F4, he recaptures Rook F4 in 4 seconds. When Pawn takes F4 is very plausible as well, right? Like when you see the move F4, is it to open the F file or to disrupt the knight or a mix of both? He didn't have any doubts.
Yeah, exactly.
He's got an hour and a half on the clock. So I feel like he was still quite likely in prep, which whether or not he was, Esipenko is going to be thinking, maybe this guy's in prep, right?
I would be as Black, 100%, because you don't know for sure, and so usually you're going to be a little bit suspicious.
Yeah.
No, but I think you're right. Like on EF4, if this was a real decision for him, this would have been more than a 5-minute think. Especially because you can play moves other than F4 here.
Yeah.
Given that he doesn't. So to me, it seems like he at least is definitely very aware that this should be White's idea.
This would have been very fast to choose to play F4 and very fast to choose to recapture with the with the rook and not the E pawn. Because, you know, like F4, EF, it's plausible, folks. You know, it's like you could consider it. It's got the idea of then playing F5, F6, right? And adding basically an extra piece to the king side, which is White's target. The logical target is the king side with the black rook and queen kind of a little bit passive. But rook F4 so fast. And Kostya, let's look at H4. Let's just see if it's any good, just objectively. Let's play a couple variations now that we know where the players are.
I like this as
here.
a start. There's a good chance that White is just in good position here because it's a sharp line. Black is clearly out of book. When players are out of book, they make mistakes. So H4, let's try knight F7. We go rook takes F6. And trying to find a move here for Black other than just taking the rook, but it's hard to... Maybe he just goes like queen G4. He just like totally ignores it. We can look at the sack for a bit. It does feel extremely dangerous. Knight takes F6. King has to go to somewhere.
Like F7 challenging the knight? Or...
Oh, I put Black's knight on F7.
Oh, okay, sorry.
So I was thinking like King F8.
Right. King F8.
And then we just go Queen H7.
Yeah. It's pretty scary. And it's not very risky, right? Like, I could play knight takes e8, queen takes e8, queen h7 instead. I mean, I don't necessarily want to trade my knight, but if I did as White, then I've got 3 pawns for a knight, and the black king opens. So, like, the risk level for White's not as crazy as rook takes f6 looks.
Looks absolutely fine for White, yeah. For instance, rook e3 loses. I think queen g8 check, take on c8. Knight d5.
Mm-hmm.
We got it all back.
That rook.
Yeah, White just wants to go like rook f1, h5, h6. Tons of ideas. Looks pretty good.
Yeah.
So I have a feeling maybe black on rook takes f6, yeah, does something else, like queen g4, for example.
But what does queen g4 do?
Just kind of pseudo activates, hits the h pawn.
So the rook comes back to f4,
Oh, good point.
and then she goes back to I don't know where.
Back to like h5 maybe.
And white clutches his extra pawn to his chest.
But white's structure here, I mean, is very weak. I feel
Not
like
designed for winning endgames.
yeah, exactly. Like if white wins this game, it's through some kind of attack. So
Right.
if we take the queens off the board, it feels like black is hardly worse. Knight coming to d6 and a lot of blockade opportunity.
Yeah, fair enough. Still, like, white's got like that nice knight on d5, and if you've got an extra pawn with knights, sometimes, I mean, you can just work around and keep playing with activity.
Yeah, definitely we shouldn't underestimate the power of this knight. Just like it's kind of floating, but it's defended. And
Also, I guess we could say, if black's planning not to take back on f6, then rook f6 is a good idea.
Yeah.
I mean, because that softens that file forever, right? So if rook f6 can't be recaptured, white should definitely play rook takes f6.
Right. Now, immediate rook f6 is kind of interesting too, without h4. Though to me, h4 seems pretty logical, because here when black moves the king, I guess king g7 is still kind of okay for black. And I was thinking like some knight e8, queen f5. But actually, I think I like h4 better anyway. So I feel like that's kind of critical. Well, he's probably thinking about it here. Looks like he's been in thought for a couple minutes already.
Another thing you can do against king g7 is play queen b2, with or without the h4 line.
Yeah, that's true.
And strangely a bit annoying to deal with. I suppose black would want to run the king up to g6 in response, but I could see there being problems.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't gotta be an eye doctor to see that.
Yeah.
There's issues here.
Yeah. Okay. So he's gonna have a think about it, because maybe it's already kind of a decisive decision. Part of the advantages of playing the opening quickly because you're in prep is that you can also then use that hour and a half that you have at some point calculating something really nice. So.
But I've often found that to be really hard, actually. It's one of the things that maybe I hate or I find the most frustrating about prep is that, like, even if your opponent gives you a chance, you still have to, like, figure out, okay, what is the engine want here? I know I'm supposed to have 0.7. So what is 0.7 in the eyes of Stockfish? And I start thinking along those lines, and it's like, just drive myself crazy. Like, okay, this looks pretty good. Is that really enough? Like,
is this my 0.7?
Yeah. Yeah, like I feel like I'm just gonna have a small advantage here. I'm falling back into old habits, like just like not playing critically.
Recognizing a 0.5 as 0.7 is my 0.7 somewhere else.
Yeah, no, but I've done it a couple of times where I just like I play a crazy move, thinking like I'm pretty sure I'm good here, so. Like...
So I should be able to do this.
Yeah, the opponent just thinks for a bit and beats you.
All right, Costa, you wanted to see the King's Indian. What do you think of Parham's move, 11g4?
Let's jump to this one. Definitely really thematic in this position, but we can go back and just see what exactly happened here. So we had classical King's Indian, early bishop e2, and usually this means that white wants to go for the Averbach, which he does, bishop g5. Knight a6 is very normal. Knight f3, and now black goes h6. Okay, h6 is a typical move. White's response, bishop h4 here, is actually kind of surprising, because usually the idea is to go back bishop e3 and then get a tempo later with queen d2. But he decides, he goes his own way. Bishop h4 played quickly.
And bishop e3, knight g4, what's white doing?
Um, maybe that's the issue. It's usually not a problem
Because usually you
in.
play bishop e2 without knight f3 or something.
Oh, exactly right. Yeah, that's the whole point of putting the bishop on
e2
e2.
first.
So white's move knight f3, definitely a reaction to knight a6. Um, Knight f3 is not super thematic. This what white
Yeah.
usually does is like queen d2, castles queenside,
Right.
f3, and then the knight comes out
So
later.
right there on move 7, we could have left the knight and played queen d2 right there, you're saying.
Yeah,
Right? And then we're looking at castling queenside quickly and throwing our h pawn.
yeah. So this is like, I mean, this is definitely a big main line. Black probably goes e5 here, d5, c6, similar to the game.
Yeah, that sounds fun. I could do that for white. I understand queen d2 and throwing my h pawn.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I've never tried this variation. You know, my repertoire as white with one d4 is pretty narrow. It's just like random moves that seem logical to me.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe I'll try an actual idea one day.
What
Okay.
I would suggest, David, is to play the h3 line with bishop e3.
Okay.
Especially in blitz, because here if black goes for like the usual e5 d5 structure, then since you haven't committed knight f3, you can put your knight on g3, and it's like much better for the attack.
Okay. This Averback has that same flexibility, right? Like that
Yeah,
you don't have to commit the knight.
pretty much. I mean,
But
I think,
h3 is going to be a lost tempo if I throw my h pawn at the opponent.
well, yeah, that attack with h3 g4. I mean, it's whatever. It's a closed position. I'm sorry,
Yeah, no, no.
but you got more space. You're fine.
But do we then play h4 h5 or do we play like knight g3 knight f5 and just sack a piece? What's the attack look
Knight
like?
f5, yeah, definitely is an idea, but pretty much white sets up with bishop e2 to defend the g4 pawn, and then yeah, I'll go h4 h5, bishop h6, and just play like essentially like English attack, very similar style.
Okay.
I think it's I mean it's obviously playable, but to me it's pretty dangerous if black is just kind of playing like their natural King's Indian moves. So I think that position is not great.
I'd love to try it. Thank you.
Yeah, yeah,
Thank you for
absolutely.
the idea. I should try out some new openings. It'd be fun. Some new ideas and variations. I've just never even known what the idea was behind like the Averback, for example, or H3. I just never even knew why people played those moves.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, yeah, they all have their like their poison. I think this one is definitely dangerous too because there's a lot of like strategic nuances and like structural stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Like knowing like okay, in this position you can castle king side and just play for the space advantage. Here you got to go queen side, go for the attack. So there's a lot of flexibility too.
Do you know if a Wonder is like a big King's Indian player? Does he play this opening a lot?
Yeah, he played this when he was a kid and not yet like a GM.
Okay.
In fact, I feel like he switched over to QGD when he was like 2500 or so.
Mm-hmm.
So this is him, I think, maybe going back to like his roots because he was playing the King's Indian like every game as a kid.
Cool. All right. So I assume C6 is a pretty logical response to G4. And you've said that G4 is thematic. So white's probably looking to castle queenside in this position. That's part of why black plays C6.
Yeah, definitely.
Okay.
Um,
That all makes sense.
yeah, at this point, someone mentioned it definitely resembles a Petrosian system. This early, like with this D5 and with white's bishop coming out to H4. But with white playing, G4 and yeah, just committing to not castle kingside now, just forever.
Okay. And now white plays knight f1. I would say, e3 is clearly a good square for the knight. It's not like I don't know why white's moving the knight, but is it okay to move the knight this much? Do you feel like this is all fine?
Yeah, again, closed position. I think white has a lot of flexibility as long as everything is logical. So the knight on e3 stops black from pushing f5 more or less.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
If black wants to play f5, it's now or never.
yeah, it really is, and I think a wonder might do it because it's just a very King's Indian type of move. But there's this common issue with g takes f5 and bishop h5. It could be a real problem.
Ooh.
Black has to play queen d7. Sometimes queen d7 is okay. As ugly as this move looks, it actually shows up in theory.
Right.
But
and a million other times it's not okay.
But without knowing exactly that this is theory,
I would say here it's pretty bad after white plays knight e3 in response.
Yeah.
But I'm completely guessing. I mean, I've basically never seen this stuff at all. But it seems after like knight e3, black's control of key squares is just collapsing.
Right. It doesn't look like a good version of this. So to me, f5 looks very risky.
Like the position's opening up, and yes, white's king isn't castled, but white has 4 active minor pieces after black plays the probably forced fe4, knight e4. White has 4 active minor pieces, and black has like 0. So I know white's king's in the center, but I think black's just done.
Oh yeah, with fe4, knight e4, 100%. Yeah, we got rook g1, we got bishop g4.
We've got d takes c6 followed by queen takes d6, just kind of like clarifying everything.
Yeah. I don't think this is what black wants. No, this is the position that like Awonder looks at for like half a second, and he's like, okay, so not this.
Okay, so he can't play f5 here, I don't think.
Yeah, it feels like
knight e3 didn't leave black any other great move. White was threatening to like outpost the knight on f5 while winning a pawn. So what you gonna do?
Now the bishop on h4 in the current position is a little bit weird when combined with g4.
Okay.
In most of these lines, white wants the bishop on e3 because it supports the king side, it covers c5.
You made it look really great for a second when you showed me bishop h5 and black's queen was like checkmated by like, it looked like the 2 bishop mate, you know, and
that's true. Though I feel like the one thing I would say about the bishop on h4 and the king's union is that usually it slows the play down actually for both sides because it's harder for white to do anything on the queen side without the bishop on e3, and it's usually harder for black to do counterplay on the king side because like f5 is hard to achieve. I mean, for instance, black had to make so many moves already: h6, queen e8, knight h7, just to deal with the pin and try to play
get out
f5.
of that. Yeah,
right. One move I would kind of expect is like bishop f6 here at some point, or maybe knight g5. Or even bishop f6, bishop g5, bishop f4. Sometimes black resorts to this.
The thing about knight g5 is white's going to play bishop g3 and then h4.
Right. But for instance, knight g5, let's say white goes bishop g3, black plays knight c5. Here white could consider knight d2 or queen c2.
Okay. Here's another issue for black in this position, actually. I mean, this is a real detail. But in terms of thinking about his next move, which I think he's been thinking about for a while, after knight f1, I think white is sort of mild threatening the move d takes c6. Which is not an important strategic move, but it's a tactical move here because if b takes c6, queen d6, and then, again, it's one of those positions where it doesn't matter that white's king has nowhere to go because white just dominates in the center, right, with rook d1 and stuff. Mm-hmm. And if queen takes c6, then knight d5. And I think that's really awkward for black. Just really awkward. I mean, white controls e7. Like, I don't know where you put your queen. And now you can't bring your pieces back out to f6. And you're not playing f5. And the other knight comes to e3. So I think, like, white is sort of mild threatening d takes c6 here.
I mean, definitely a thought. Maybe not black's biggest concern because it's like it can be a dangerous pawn to take, but yeah, it could just be an extra pawn in some of these positions. Like if black doesn't get play, they don't get play, and white's just up a pawn.
Okay, so what moves would you consider for black here? Knight g5.
So yeah, I definitely was thinking about bishop f6, but then
bishop f6. Okay,
we really started thinking about. Okay, if bishop takes f6, knight takes f6, we are hitting g4. So white would have to be careful before going after the d6 pawn.
Right.
Something like knight takes g4 at the end. And
also, with your knight on f6, you could take back on c6 with your queen. Yeah?
We could. Yeah, for sure.
Or
Knight
you really
c5.
don't want to ever do that?
No, I think this happens sometimes. I
It
always
happens.
struggle with when it's okay to kind of
Okay.
go into this like Kalashnikov structure.
I think there you could do it without the dark squared bishop and with your knight on f6 already hitting e4, next knight coming to c5 or b4.
Yeah, no, I agree with you.
Nice
Definitely,
choice.
like lack of dark square bishops helps black, and white already played g4, which is not something you often see in the
Right.
Marazzi bind.
Random
White
dangling
playing
pawn over there.
g4.
Every dark square weak.
Right.
If you played bishop f6 as white, I would almost just play bishop g3 without thinking.
Yeah, I think it's rare that white really wants to trade these bishops. And then
You
let's
might
say
you
from
might pursue me bishop g5
there,
f4 or something.
yeah, exactly, bishop g5 f4. But I don't know. Maybe we have to worry about the d6 pawn. And now we're in territory where if black goes c takes d5, then maybe white doesn't just automatically recapture cd, but can think about knight takes d5 too.
Oh, I would always think about knight d5. At least think about it. So what I'll do is I'll play h4, h5, and leave my bishop, leave that tension on g3, not trade.
Yeah, I think bishop g3 for white, usually the way to go. Hey, John, I just linked you to one of the games. I think if you search for games on live chess, you can see the 90 plus 30 games because nobody plays 90 plus 30 unless they're part of a tournament.
Good Lord. We're gonna have to pop over to Jeffrey's game at some point here for sure.
Oh, interesting. I wonder if chose c takes d5, but yeah, let's go to
Okay,
Jeffrey's
he traded
game.
on d5 right away, so he's gonna get some clarity on whether white wants to open the c file or plunk a knight on d5. Two appetizing choices.
Right.
Okay, but look at Jeffrey's game. Look what's happened here.
So he did play bishop g3 after 8 minutes.
Yeah.
G4. Knight h4, another 3 minutes. So he probably saw this coming, was just double checking. And black just castles.
Like just castles. So like, but interestingly, we noticed that Jeffrey did not throw in that e takes d5. He was confident that he could handle this f5 stuff, right?
Yeah. He can take on d5 there, right.
And then Fedoseev did not go for f5, but instead castled, which offers up the g4 pawn. Now, white already has like everything in his position is saying attack on the king side, right? And now the queen gets an invitation to come to g4 while capturing something instead of by sacrificing something. That's a move you're going to play.
He just takes the pawn.
D takes e4. And everything Fedoseev is doing is based on like, I'm going to somehow like win a piece with a dubious tactic here, and hopefully you won't find the refutation.
Right. This is like, yeah, basically black putting all of their cards on the table. It's just like, my idea is f5. I will be taking a minor piece. And yeah, we'll see if you get enough pawns for it. Looks super dangerous for black. Again, I don't see myself believing this one.
Now, I think Jeffrey was kind of forced because queen e4, there would be f5. And then if you don't put your queen on f4, black will play f4. Probably. And if you do put your queen on f4, black has bishop g5, winning the knight on d2.
Right.
So Jeffrey says, yeah, I know you're going to play f5. Let me just put another piece in the way of it. With knight e4. And now, presumably, f5 is coming, right?
Yeah, I mean, now f5 definitely guarantees black is winning their piece back. Winning a piece, their piece back. The question is whether white will be able to get enough. My feeling is his idea is to put the queen on maybe h3 to kind of target this one, but then I'd be really worried with like the bishop on d7. Like maybe in that position, instead of taking on e4, black just plays like e5 or something.
Yeah.
I mean, they could
even take on e4 and then play e5, right? And our queen is trapped. Like fe4, bishop e4, e5. Oh, well, bishop d5 check. But then rook f7 and our queen is still trapped.
There's bishop d5. There's also bishop h7 check.
Uh-huh.
And then if king h7, knight f5. But this might just run out.
Yeah. And did you see against bishop d5, black has rook f7 and bishop
Right.
f7, king f7. You're just losing the whole queen.
Yeah. So it's not clear that like dynamically white is exactly crushing here because black does have a lot of pieces that are in position on the king side. Like knight on g7 is weird, but controlling squares, bishops are also kind of participating too. And we do have
All right, so
f5, queen f4 on the board. Okay,
yeah,
queen
that
f4.
makes sense. Good move. If black does nothing, the queen will come to h6. If black takes on e4, then he'll probably take back on e4 with the queen, forcing knight f5.
Right. Maybe d5 here.
Yes, d5 could be very nice. Yes, d5. Oh, well, I'm not sure. d5, ed5, queen g4 check, knight back to g7.
What about just queen takes d5 check?
Ah. Sounds good.
And then, well, I mean, it just looks real strong. I don't.
Well, it's winning back the piece on f5 or not? Yeah, it is.
Well, black goes king h8. If we
Right.
take on f5, there's bishop takes f5, and our queen will be hanging.
Oh my goodness. Yeah, I was going to play queen takes c6, but then there's the bishop hanging on c2 as well.
Bishop on c2. I feel like even that might still be good if we just keep the line going. We got like bishop e5 check maybe.
Oh, I think I solved it somewhere earlier.
Yeah,
Yes,
probably have something easier.
Oh, shoot. It's so complicated. Never mind. Nice. All right, keep going.
So I'm on
can't-
queen takes d5, king
Yeah.
h8. And here, yeah, it just feels like... I don't feel like this is risky at all for white. I don't know. I think black's king is so open that we're in range to just be able to play like rook 81 here. And I don't know. I feel like this is like an any move wins kind of position.
Well, the knight on h4 is hanging.
Oh, yeah, for black. Right. Yeah, I don't know. This king just feels so checkmated. Okay, we can win the piece back with knight takes f5,
Mm-hmm.
bishop takes f5,
Mm-hmm.
bishop e5 check. I think.
Bishop f6?
Bishop f6. Again, that's the problem. F5 knight's not hanging because when we're taking here, black goes bishop takes f5, our queen is under attack. Yeah, if queen takes c6, black takes on c2. We're still not quite... I mean, we can take on b5. We have a lot of pawns. I would say even this is like...
The risk is almost zero, but
Yeah.
we still want to figure it out.
Yeah, it really feels like we are doing really well there as white. So this is, again, live position, queen f4 on the board. Now, I mean, black has done all this. He's weakened his entire position. He's given up a pawn, all to capture one of white's pieces. If he doesn't take on e4 here... Let's see. Only other move I can consider is knight h5.
I think I found something simple.
Oh, okay.
So
takes,
all right.
knight f5.
we'll play knight takes on f5.
Yeah.
Uh,
Oh,
sorry.
after d5 or before that?
Yeah, d5, pawn takes, queen d5 check, king h8. Let me see,
Mm-hmm.
what was this line again? Okay, I'll take on f5 with my bishop, not my knight.
Oh, novelty. Okay. Bishop
Okay,
takes.
bishop takes. So black is going to take on h4, right?
That's right.
Okay.
Oh, so here we can throw in bishop
Sorry,
e5 check.
sorry. Bishop takes f5. Black has to take with the bishop on f5 first, right?
Yeah.
Then I play queen takes c6.
Mm-hmm.
Bishop takes h4.
Right.
Bishop takes f5.
Wait, didn't we already take on
Oh,
f5?
we already did with f. Sorry. Shoot. Ah, I still didn't get what I wanted. Jeez.
Would be good to have two bishops. Yeah, thanks, Icy.
Okay, never mind. Oof.
That's
Complicated.
We'll get there. Oh, and we have h4, rook f6, knight f6 on the board, actually, if we can switch over real quick between Tabatabai and
Yep.
Esipenko. So you call this one. This is 3 points for you. 3 moves.
I get 3 points? Oh, because it's 3 moves. With recaptures and things.
You called 3 moves in a row. I mean, a whole combination, yeah.
A whole combination. Well, yeah.
And White has huge... The only time he spent here was he spent 15 minutes on h4. So this is the type of thing where it's like, I'm pretty sure what my opponent has done is bad. Now I need to just spend a little bit of time to calculate and refutes.
Yeah. Well, I can tell you, if black plays king g7 or king h8, he'll definitely play queen h7. I can predict that move for sure. But if he plays king f8, we'd have to think if he's going to take the rook or just play queen h7. Probably still just queen h7, but it's hard to be sure.
Right, king f8 on the board. So queen h7 looks like a great candidate.
Yeah.
Doesn't seem to be a reason to avoid this one. I mean, black can... Let's try rook e6 from black.
Rook e6 loses to queen g8, king e7, knight d5, and then queen takes f7.
Just take and yeah.
The only square that I still had in mind was rook e5. All right,
queen h7
we correctly
on the board.
predict queen h7. Yeah, this is very nice position.
Okay, clearly he had already calculated this one.
Yeah, so rook e5 does give white maybe the tempo to just play knight f3, which is also opening the rook on the d file for some cutting off stuff.
No, this is just mate. This is 4 pieces against an open king with a rook perfectly placed.
Yeah, it sure looks bad.
By the laws of chess, is like this is leading to checkmate.
The laws of chess. Well, that's great. I had a good feeling about this rook f6 thing. And honestly, I was kind of with you that black was just not even going to take it.
Well, I guess he just thought he has nothing else. I mean, he spent 12 minutes on knight f7, so he saw this coming. And still felt like he couldn't do anything else here.
Mm-hmm.
So let's see. I think last move on the board is queen takes h7. So here, I mean, black has a really wide option. This is always the position, actually, I find that, you know, students will be nervous about when they have to go for a sacrifice, but they're not playing a combination to win it all back. They're just forced to go into a position where you do give your opponent a free move, but the idea is that our pieces are active enough to mate black no matter what. And so a lot of players will say like, yeah, I just couldn't make it work seeing to this position. And like, this is it. You're done. This is, you evaluate here. White looks good.
I see what you mean. Yeah. Yeah, I couldn't calculate far enough. No, you calculated far enough. You just couldn't evaluate.
Yeah.
I would definitely calculate this out, but that's just my approach. I mean, you've got an hour and a half. What is there more fun to do than calculate like 50 different ways that you pillory this king?
No, fair enough. I mean, I think you do calculate some lines further. For instance, like we saw what happens on rook e6 and rook takes e3. But I think players feel like unless they look at every possible move, then they just don't know. Like, what if
Yeah.
black has some amazing resource? But the longer you spend and you don't find something for the opponent, yeah, the more likely we should think that maybe our position is good. I would say the main thing to look for is like, defensive tempo moves. If they can do something that like brings in a piece and challenges our queen, for example, like queen f5, this is
Yeah.
usually the kind of move that might hold the position. But
Right. Or queen g4 hitting the rook if our knight weren't covering g4.
yeah, some counterplay. But it's nothing like rook takes e3. It just takes a pawn. Doesn't make any threat.
All right. I think black will play queen e6 maybe instead of rook e5.
Yeah, queen e6. Actually, that's a nice move because it does touch the knight.
And queen e3 gives, some chance checking the white king a few times. Right.
Right.
Gets him with everything. Yeah, he'll play queen e6.
Yeah, queen e6 actually, I think still needs to be refuted by white.
Yeah.
But let's say, white has something here. You're more likely to find it if you just have this position in front of you versus if you're looking at this in your calculation and you're like trying to figure it out. So I think there is some sense, like if you know you're going to go for a sack, maybe save some time later, so you can have time to calculate once the attack gets going.
Yeah. Queen e6 doesn't give white tons of things to do.
No, it's a tough move to meet, actually. Yeah, queen h7 on the board. We're expecting this one. Maybe this is what black had in mind originally. Okay, let's try rook f1.
Mm-hmm.
So threatening queen g8, knight d5, and then taking on f7.
Yeah.
Oh, I think we have a move. Queen e6 on the board. All right.
All right, he did it.
Okay, fun. Fast, too.
Yeah. That's really fast for this kind of a position.
Yeah, I mean, I would say even if he had already seen this, like, you can double check your stuff, dude.
Well, I mean, it depends how much. I mean, maybe you double checked it before you played queen h7, I mean.
Yeah. Yeah, also black spent 5 minutes there, so he's
Maybe
probably been
he's
thinking.
even still in prep, Kostya. It's possible that on 23 h4 he was double checking prep. Maybe he's got a computer evaluation guiding him.
That's not crazy. Hopefully we'll get him on. We can ask him. And we'd be like, point blank, you gotta tell us. Did you know? Okay, rook ad8. Also kind of fast, actually, for black, given that his position could be difficult. But it's a very logical move because he wants to hit the knight on d2 and also cover the knight on d5 as well. For example, if queen g8 check, king e7, knight d5 check, white might think, oh, rook takes d5, I have c takes d5, maybe counterattacking black's queen. I guess that doesn't work for a couple of reasons, but mainly black has queen takes e3 check and wins the queen. So that stops that threat. I mean, it feels like, just based on how quickly white is playing, that he clearly believes in this. But
Yeah, Plukru is pointing out that rook f1 allowed queen e3 check and queen takes knight on d2. And then the queen covers knight d7 check, so there isn't knight d7 check and then queen f7 mate. But in that line, white would have played knight takes e8 at the end, threatening checkmate on f7, and black doesn't have a chance to recapture the knight on e8. And then they're reduced to some move like queen back to d7, and there's a lot of things white could do, but like knight d6 looks really simple and decisive for white there.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, Plukru, you're right that in this queen g8, knight d5 line, even without the rook on d8, black could play queen takes d5 and get to this fine endgame.
That's true, yeah.
So, I mean, part of the point of this might be that if white plays knight d5 with the idea of rook f6, then maybe black just wants to preemptively sack the rook back on d5 for that knight. Like, you wouldn't take the rook on e8, so now I'll also get your c pawn, right? Oh yeah, that's a nice move too, I see. That if black went on that queen d2 adventure, the move knight d5 for white threatens checkmate on h8 as well as f7. That might also be lights out.
Mm-hmm.
Just as well as the knight e8 move. Is knight f3 possible? Someone asks. Very interesting. Knight f3, queen takes f6, knight to g5. I guess queen f1 would be forced there.
Feels like that's the move I would look at. Knight
Otherwise,
takes
black's
g5.
really getting hit. So then king takes, and then you probably need to trade the knight on g5.
Yeah.
I
I would feel like at best white has a draw here, but even that could be doubtful with so much material for black.
Yeah, h takes g5, I think, is the only good prospect for white, trying to add that g pawn to the attack really fast before the knight and rooks defend.
I don't know, maybe white could do it with checks. Queen h6 check, but king f7.
Yeah.
I don't know if I really see it.
No, I've concluded I definitely want hg. I've got a sneaky threat of queen f5 check if you put a rook on the second rank here. And then taking the knight on c5 with a winning endgame for white of queen and 3 pawns against 2 rooks. Most likely winning.
Yeah.
So knight f3, queen f6, knight g5, takes, hg. It feels like the knight has to move. So knight e6.
Knight e6. Yeah.
g6. And
g6 kind of annoying, huh?
Rook e7, there's queen h8 mate. Rook d7, there's queen takes rook. On other moves, there's queen f7 mate. White wins.
Yeah.
That's insane.
Wait,
so
but you don't like the queen against the 2 rooks, but you'll take...
if you've got an extra knight, then the queen's good. No, it's 100% concrete, you know?
Right.
I mean, I had basically not considered knight f3, which Infernal Kush was asking about, right? I basically rejected. I was like, knight f3, queen f6. We can't really keep giving stuff. But then since he asked about it, I was like, okay, well, what it would basically look like logically is queen f6, white would have to try knight g5, black would have to try queen f1. And then I was like, wait a minute, maybe we do have enough there.
Yeah.
Maybe knight takes g5 is a mistake for black. Maybe he can violate the normal rule and play rook d7 there and not just trade that knight as soon as possible.
Right. Now, I think black could give the knight here, but it should be completely winning for white because now it's just too many pawns with the queen, and g-pawn is still really strong. Yeah, nice job, Infernal Kush.
Yep. It is a great feeling to be a genius, right?
d1. Yeah, absolutely. It is. Yeah. But this is black giving back a whole rook, so this is quite a bit.
How are you giving back a rook?
Icy wanted rook d1 after knight g5.
Oh, instead of the queen?
Yeah. Instead of giving the queen.
Ah. And then rook d1. And then you can't play knight g5. Or I guess you could play knight g5 there. Because it hits the queen on h7. But then hg, white's threatening rook f1.
Yeah, it feels like rook is coming back to f1.
And whatever you do, rook f1 checkmates you or wins your queen.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think rook d1 loses. Yeah. I think we got to try like queen f1, king f1, rook d7 or something.
Mm-hmm. Or how about this? How about knight takes g5,
Uh-huh.
takes, and then rook d7?
Rook d7 there.
Oh, queen
Oh,
f5,
queen
rook
f5, rook
f7.
f7. I forgot my king had come to the f file.
Yeah, I blundered that when I suggested rook d7.
Okay, but it's not over yet. You go rook d7, I go queen h8 check.
Yeah, then king e7,
Queen f6.
rook f8.
You're already made it.
Oh, fine.
Too late.
Wait, but then okay, we have king f7, I guess.
Yeah, you do. Queen f6,
Right, king g8.
king g8. I've got at least a perpetual.
No, I don't think so.
No? Queen g6?
Yeah, we go king f8.
Right. Oh, and I can't even come back. Oh my goodness. Okay.
But you do have queen h6, and if I go rook g7, then we'll have queen d6.
Okay, so queen h8, king f7. Oh wait, but I have g6 check here, Kostya. Yeah, that's
Okay.
better. Because the rook on e8's undefended.
Yeah. But let's say g6, king e7.
Right? g7.
Are you really gonna go g7? Unbelievable.
Of course.
Rook d8.
Right? Queen to h7. Oh, I'm so evil. Yes.
Okay, rook g8.
Oh no! Why did you do that? You jerk.
I thought you had a check.
Oh, okay, fine. All right, no queen h7. Life sucks again. Queen to h4 check, continuing to fish.
Yeah.
King d6. It looks like black survived. No.
Right.
Infernal Kush, it is incredible that you calculated this whole thing that fast.
That's funny.
Oh my goodness. Jeffrey, by the way, is after deep thought did not play d5 in that position. He just kept playing like normal move, just retreated his knight from h4 and just sitting on this position.
Wow. Let's go here. So fe4, queen e4, knight f5, knight f3. Playing as if he's just not down a piece. But it makes a ton of sense. Now this knight's not hanging. Black can't take on g3.
Nope.
And
Taking on g3 is Feboten.
this is just coming with d5 anyway.
So you think this is still good for white? just down a piece, but black's so trash that it doesn't matter.
I mean, it's two pawns, and yeah, it just feels like so much positional compensation with black's king. Weakened, bishop on d7, bad. Knight on c6, bad.
Mm-hmm. It's true that if I just wanted to say prevent the move d5 from white, if I play bishop c8, there's queen c6, and if I play bishop e8, there's queen e6. So, I don't know. Maybe rook f7 here.
Mm-hmm.
Try and keep playing. Cover the mate on h7. I don't know.
I actually think this might just be like horrible for black. Like, let's say rook f7, we go knight e5.
Mm-hmm. I was thinking that. And then I guess black takes it.
Yeah, take, we go bishop.
Put your bishop on e5.
Yeah.
No,
And then I want to go like
move
g4
anything.
here.
Right. Ouch. 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 Rook c8.
Yeah. Okay, I like this rook on f7. It's a really nice move, freeing up the knight.
Oh no, Jesse's going to come in 3 minutes and I'll never know what happens in these games. Ah!
You can stay.
So after rook c8, what happens? Sorry, what do you play?
I haven't figured it out yet.
Okay.
It does seem like white just has loads of compensation, so I don't know how much we have to
You need to evaluate it, right?
rush here, but yeah.
Oh, the move queen g4 check is not going to be that bad. So maybe we don't even need to put our pawn there yet.
Right, queen g4 is annoying.
Forcing like king f8, then the queen comes to h5, and then maybe you go for g4. Black pieces are not going to have lots of squares to go to. And my plan is something like bishop h7, bishop g6, if I can get the knight to move. How does Jeffrey do the analysis in this game? It's a good question. We should ask him if he thought like a grandmaster, if he made an orderly tree of variations, or if his brain just, puked ideas at him.
No, I bet he was like, no, come on. He's just like,
Rook f7, Kostya.
When black played g5, he's like, I knew he was lost.
He still had to calculate something. I mean, look, he just spent like 15 minutes on knight f3. I mean, he's taking it seriously-ish.
No, definitely. I just think I feel like Jeffrey's a very intuitive player. Like he's really good at calculating, but
yeah,
I think the way he talks is just very like, okay, this should be bad, so let's see if we can find something. Oh, here it is. Like,
yeah.
So I don't know, maybe he thinks he's just kind of like, I don't know. Jeffrey's also a humble kid, so he might just be like, yeah, I kind of just like, had to sack a piece, and I don't know if it was good or not.
I think he'll know it. I think he'll have had an strong instinct that it should have been good. But justifying it is still tricky, and you have to do it. It's honestly no use having a winning position unless you know how to win it, I would say, in general in chess.
Yeah.
Like, it's only really a winning position once it's a winning position and a position you know how to win.
Right. Drives me crazy.
Up until that point, you've got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, when people are, they look at the computer evaluation after their game, it's like, oh, I was +2. It's like, yeah, but it's
like,
so what?
Like even 95 here, Kostya, like our first suggestion, we didn't consider immediately that black could respond with knight takes g3.
I did not consider that.
Right? And knight takes g3 hits our queen. So if we had to take back on g3, black could then play knight takes e5, and it doesn't look like much compensation for white there at all. I know you still got your two pawns, but I mean, suddenly the black bishop pair should be able to, kind of cover whatever it wants to. And the rook on the second rank is really good without a bishop on e5 to hamper it. Suddenly it's a great defensive piece.
Yeah, actually, this rook, when it goes to like g7, I took fg on our board so that we can go like rook f1 here for white. But
Okay.
yeah, the rook can sit on g7.
Either way, it looks like a terrible position. So if we wanted to go knight e5, we have to calculate knight e5, knight g3, knight f7, knight e4, knight d8. And I'm just saying it to like emphasize the point that yes, Jeffrey does have to bring in some significant calculation on this position. So I think it's a good question from Dordam that we could ask like Jeffrey, like in a position like this, how do you calculate? What's like the nuts and bolts of like the process of a good player in a position like this?
For sure. Yeah, I think it starts with the evaluation, and then of course you have to like execute. You got to like choose between moves. But we'll see. I imagine there's also some kind of like process of elimination. At least that's how I often view things. If let's say I'm playing some kind of attacking game and I'm not sure if I really have enough comp, I might think like, okay, well, knight e5, that's refuted by knight takes g3, so I can't do that. And then I would just kind of refute moves. And if I see something that looks interesting and I can't seem to figure out like an easy move for my opponent, like, okay, I guess I'll play this. This seems to be like the most uncomfortable or unclear move. Jesse says he'll be around in about 3 minutes.
All right. So we've got 3 minutes to see if Tabaye is going to go knight f3 or knight e8 or something.
Now
really
he's tanking. So
tanking.
I think he might finally be out of book here. Rook ad8, the move that took him out of prep.
Yeah.
Amazing he missed it. Such an obvious move.
Some people just don't work hard enough at home, then they have to work over the board.
Right. By the way, nice job, Infernal Kush. Guessed another move. White did play Rook A D1. Jeffrey did. And
Wow, he guessed Rook AD1 here. Nice.
yeah,
Jeffrey just developing.
getting ready to open things up. I mean, I feel like the compensation is that White just controls a lot more space, a lot more files. If White is ever able to take this B5 pawn, then C4 will fall, and White will have many pawns.
Mm-hmm.
I think we should check in with Shock's game because they've had a lot of changes. Not the most exciting position, but yeah,
Right.
definitely a big transformation. So we can go back and see how this turned out. Last we saw at this moment, Queen B8, Knight E2. The Kwang Liang played Rook C8, F3 makes sense. Take B4. I like that he played B4 without a rook on the B file. Yep, doesn't need to defend that pawn just yet. And King D2 actually a little bit surprising for me. I would have really expected A4 there, but White just allows the trade.
Yeah, this was kind of like, I guess, his concept with F3, right? Was F3 was to put his king on E4 and not worry about knight E4 moves.
Yeah.
And he's just catching up on development very quickly with that king D2 move and not really worried about exactly what structure comes up on the queen side.
Right. Yeah, his king is safe. His knight comes to D3. And now Black has to keep his knight passive on D7 defending. But he goes knight B8, Rook C3. Trades off one pair of rooks. Yeah, people always ask, when is it appropriate to trade off a pair of rooks? I don't think anyone really knows. I just think if you feel like you have an advantage, then it might make sense to simplify. If you feel like you're kind of playing for the attack, maybe keep both rooks on the board if you can still get them to the 7th rank.
Right. Yep. It depends if you're reducing counterplay or looking to generate more play for yourself. Like if you need more pieces to open a second front, like if your plan would be G4 here, for example, making G5 a hook and then playing H4, and like you just don't have room to win on the queen side, then you would want to keep the rooks on the board and play that plan, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you feel like you've got enough to win on the queen side, then you might trade so you don't have to worry about counterplay or Black playing G4, and also just every trade makes it easier to finish penetrating with your king. Like if the final rook were off the board here, then White could play King A4 to A5 and Black would resign, right? Does that sort of look clear to people? Just moving the king to A5. So that, that's kind of like one good way to sort of think about when to trade.
Yeah, I mean, I think we were kind of thinking that because the material has stayed equal and neither side, there's no particular imbalances, it seems, rook and knight each. But actually, White has a very real advantage in that his king is much closer to the queen side. So I would say White is like clearly better, clearly pushing here, actually. Which is kind of surprising how quickly that happened. But yeah, he just like brought his king over to help, and now he essentially has this extra piece that can help the queen side. Whether it's enough to win, definitely very much up in the air. But notice how Black actually has a hard time getting his king closer because f6 and f8 are both mined due to knight d7.
Yeah. Makes it look like his rook might have to sit on c6 or something. Then the white rook is going to switch to the king side. White doesn't seem to have enough to just win on the king side right now. Although if you put your white rook on c1, can the black king ever move? I mean, we would still need a way to win, but
I feel like white does win here. If Black puts the rook on c6, we go rook c1 and knight d3.
You're right. So rook c1 is actually extremely evil here.
Yeah, for sure.
Oof.
I mean, Black can put the king on f5, but it just doesn't go anywhere from there. And then White can play g4 to kick it back and h3. So if we get something like king g6, knight d3 takes, yeah, then White just brings the king to b6, wins the a pawn, and it should be a win for White in the knight endgame, like you were saying, just because this pawn is so strong and Black very, very far away from generating enough counterplay.
Yeah. And he had to play king a4 first in this move order because he couldn't let black play a5. So that was very important. Now if he plays king a5, I think black would play rook b5 check and try and white can't play king a6, rook b4 really. If you're trying to win, you don't want to trade the last queenside pawn. So I guess he's hoping to get his knight to c4 before white plays this rook c1 plan.
Right, knight e8 coming to d6, knight c4. Yeah, that definitely feels like the way black tries to hold this. And then king back to b3. So what was wrong with king a5 there?
Rook b5.
b5. Oh, I see. And then, yeah, we don't want to trade these.
Yeah. But I think rook c1, knight d6 may still have been possible just before. And maybe he'll go back to it. I mean, maybe he'll repeat again. But that rook c1, knight d6, knight d7, rook b7, knight e5. And you're stopping knight c4, and then when black plays f6, trying to force it through, then you play rook to c6. And if black plays fe5, rook takes d6.
I'm way lost. I'm way lost now.
Endgame, right?
No, sorry, I have no idea.
Did I blunder?
What position? I lost the line.
Oh, sorry. Okay,
Yeah.
So with the knight on e8, last move, if white goes rook c1, and black plays knight d6, trying to cut us off.
Yeah.
We play knight to d7, hitting the rook. Rook to b7. They have to hit our knight to avoid rook c6. And then we play knight e5, covering c4.
Right.
And then, you might expect f6 from black in that position, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then I'd calculated rook c6, pawn takes knight, rook takes knight, and I think white is very much a favorite to win that rook and pawn endgame.
Yeah, white wins this. All right, we got Jesse ready, David.
Great. I'll see you guys later. Enjoy
Nice.
the games.
Awesome.
Just thrilling. Jeffrey's finally played d5. So that's opening up. Wow, it's killer. And even the game we haven't checked out in a while, Parham against a Wonder, is really interesting too. Wow.
Yeah.
I can't wait to review these games later. Have fun, everybody. And yeah.
Right. I'm going to take a quick break, guys. We'll get Jesse in here. Just one moment. Don't go anywhere. Be right back. The PNWCC Super Invitational and Rising Stars event. Hey, everyone. We are back with the PNWCC Super Invitational. We got GM Jesse in the house. Welcome, Jesse.
Yeah, glad to be here.
Oh my god, I typed GM Jesse Invitational. That's so funny.
You've been at it for a while.
Yeah, we've been on for a bit. The games have been really exciting. Let me catch you and everyone up. This is a tournament that's been put on by the Pacific Northwest Chess Center. They've been doing a lot of tournaments for basically all levels, but also some elite events too. And they're one of the very, very few people doing classical events, because this is a 90+30 time control. So in the super group, we got Mamedyarov playing against Lekwang Liem. He's the leader. And when we last left off, we felt like pushing in this endgame as white with a more active king on the queen side, and black's king actually having a really hard time getting in because of this knight d7 check always in the position.
Right.
Really annoying. So we think he's trying to push here. Liam hasn't scored any points yet in the tournament, so he's kind of the bait for all the sharks to try and attack. And then we have Jeffrey Zhang with white against Fedoseev, and this was a really fascinating game. Fedoseev, I think David and I would both say, took a lot of liberties in the opening in order to win a piece. And now Jeffrey is going after him. We last saw with rook ad1 in the position, black took on g3 here, played bishop f6, white pushed d5, takes rook takes d5. So this is the new situation where, yeah, I think white still has a ton of compensation, but right, very, very far from just being over.
Well, right. I was playing through this game, and my sense of chess justice felt like White should be winning. But in the current position, he might just be lost. Right? He might just be lost. It's a hard business when you're down a piece and all of Black's pieces are active.
No, you're right. I mean, this rook on g7, or that could be on g7, is like just gonna hold everything. Um,
Right.
so yeah, White could just be in trouble. And then I would say maybe the most interesting game of the round is in the Rising Star section. So we have Amin Tabatabaye playing White against Esipenko. And the story of this game is that White was definitely much deeper prepared in the opening based on the timestamps. Goes for the sack with h4, rook takes f6, and actually plays these moves out so quickly that we started speculating that even this is something that White had seen before. Despite the fact that he spent like 14 minutes on his 23rd move, h4. But yeah, he's gone for this attack. But here's where it really gets interesting. Black played queen e6, rook f1, rook ad8, and this has been the live position for a good half hour. White had an hour and 15 minutes when he started this position, and he's been thinking ever since. So at this point, we can safely say he's out of book. He doesn't know what the move is. He might have a sense of what the computer evaluation is, but he clearly does not know what the move is.
Well, I don't know either.
Yeah.
Huh. Yeah, that's totally a mess. So 2 games where White has thrown himself at Black, and 2 games where Black might just be winning. Right? That's what it looks like anyway.
Oh yeah, like here, right. It's very possible that one of White's last couple moves could have been a mistake. Maybe the whole sacrifice is not correct. And the longer he thinks, yeah, the less confidence I have in White's position. Just because if he had something clear, he would probably have gone for it by now. We were looking earlier at knight f3, which we think is a really interesting choice. Although last we left off, we were thinking Black takes on f6,
Yeah.
knight g5, queen f1, king takes f1, knight takes g5, hg, and rook d7. And we couldn't make it work for White.
Yeah, it makes sense that Black is going to be fine in those positions.
I like how so David and I, he threw out a bunch of lines here for like a couple minutes, and you're just like, yeah, Black is fine.
Well, at the end, we just got a couple busted pawns, and Black has everything's coordinated, right? Yeah. But again, that my knight f3, that's the first thing that came to my mind. I don't know. You're looking at this thing.
Nice.
He definitely needs some kind of magic right now. Right now he needs the magic, or else it's all going to fall apart. Now, one cool thing for White is that we're not threatening rook takes d2 because queen g8.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So we do have like one move to try to figure our life out before it all goes downhill. He just played king h1.
I was about to say it. Oh my god, that would have been worth so many points. I was just about to say it.
What do you mean that would be worth so many points?
Well, we've been doing guess the move, and we haven't been keeping track. But if you say a move and they play it, that's +1. That's the scoring system. But I also feel like the longer they think on a move, the more points you get for the move that you suggest, because it's like clearly more thought went into the decision and wider choice.
Right.
But wow, 33. Yeah, just as soon as you said that White has a free move, I mean, it makes sense. Like, just improve the king, get out of some checks, and then now we're asking Black to make a move.
Right. And there's a bunch of moves that do not work. Like rook e7 ends instantly. you move your rook off the 8th rank, it ends instantly.
Yeah.
Does white have a threat? I don't think so, because knight f3 now just totally doesn't work because the queen takes f6. So, right, it becomes an interesting question. What is the threat?
There are moves. There's h5, h6.
Good.
Maybe
right?
as like a real backup plan. 'Cause this is often slow. I was thinking like maybe knight de4 could be played. I don't know if white wants to play that, but yeah, just a move. Trying to play like maybe knight g5.
Yeah, maybe queen g6 and then knight f3, something like that. How about, let's start with some ignorant questions. Can black just play king e7? Is that playable?
Definitely a move, yeah. Okay, first thought, knight d5 check.
And then rook takes?
Take, we take.
And then I assume queen takes?
Queen takes. So white would need something here.
And maybe a way to think about the position, though, is as long as the pawns kind of sort of give the white king shelter, he does have, those pawns are like a use. They're at least doing something over there.
Yeah.
And if that's the case, maybe you don't even want to give your c4 pawn. Like on king e7, you could just play knight takes e8 too, and claim that the 3 pawns are somehow worthy, right?
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to say, though. Well, to me at least, it doesn't seem like it's possible to say that white is better there, right? But at least you're not lost. At least not completely lost.
Yeah, definitely not lost. I would be shocked. I wouldn't be shocked if white is better after something like knight f3, just trying to play like knight g5 next. If rook h8, maybe queen g7. Yeah, I mean I'm sure we've seen many times like the computer will go into all kinds of positions where it seems like we don't have a lot of immediate threats, but if the pieces come in time, then it can work.
Right. So I guess it's one of the questions that, I think every chess player struggles with is like, am I better? Am I better in this position? And if I was black, yeah, I would think I was better, especially because white is just played king h1. And if his pawn, honestly, it's like his pawn on h4, what a weird creature, right? Because in a way it wants to be on h8, but in a way it also wants to be on h3.
Right.
So it's kind of trapped between knowing what it wants in life, and it's, before it gets to h8, that's a lot of tempting. Before it gets over there, So anyways, we got moves like king e7.
Yeah, definitely a top candidate for me because it helps black. We got rook h8 in the position and lots of stuff.
If you were a computer, you'd be looking at all kinds of other stuff too. Okay, he did play king e7. Good. So that was certain. Hey, I got a point, right?
That's +1.
I think that's the point. Okay, we got people in the chat. Mitch is talking about Jeffrey's game, so maybe we should switch back to that one.
Absolutely. I do want to mention, though, we do have like a 4th game we didn't check in yet. We got Param Maksudlu playing against a wonder, Li Yang. This was a really interesting King's Indian, a lot of nuance earlier. I'll just quickly catch us all up. We last left off here when black played c6 on move 11. Knight f1, cd, cd, bishop d7, knight e3, and b5. And seems like actually they started fighting on the queen side with white going a4. Trading off light squared bishop, which was interesting. Bishop f6. And here white decided to take on f6. We talked about this idea with bishop f6. We felt like normally white wants to avoid this trade with bishop g3.
Yeah.
But here white takes, goes for the simplification, f3, king d2, okay. Knight takes b5, rook takes b5. Then we got the live position. So white is up a pawn, but very obvious compensation here for black with white's king on e2.
Who would you rather be, Costian?
From experience, black.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, I think it's very hard to pull it off with that king, man. And the knight on e3 is honestly not the great. It can help you defend, but it's not actually doing anything. And Wonder just played rook c7, very simple and strong. Gonna double. And if the rook on h1 ever leaves, then you got to worry about queen h4 stuff.
No, I mean, I just think as a d4 player, I've often been up this pawn and Benkos and stuff, and
right,
it's never comfortable. And as players get like lower and lower on time, if the pieces stay the same, yeah, I think it just gets easier and easier for black. Also, objectively, it just looks dangerous. Like there's the rook coming over to c8, rook c2 ideas, queen f4. White really has to. And he's playing fast though. Rook a5, very quick.
Well, what I like about that move is I think his intention is if black doubles, we at least exchange one pair of rooks.
Yeah.
And that seems inevitable. Right, white does at least have a plan. I mean, yeah, he's got a plan.
Right.
Survive. Survive and then maybe win the end game.
Yeah.
It's so hard to win these positions, man. Yeah. Both of these players very interesting. Their careers are very interesting to me. I think a wonder. I covered him at the U.S. Junior last year, which he won, and he needs like the confidence. He needs to win some big events and to have the confidence to be like, okay, I'm going to go for it now. Otherwise he's just going to go to college, and then it's over. It's over.
Right.
Then we won't see him anymore. Yeah.
It was an interesting story with Jeffrey because I feel like he had the same decision.
I think Jeffrey's been committed from the start.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, I talked to Jeffrey a couple times doing interviews at the St. Louis Chess Club and stuff. And yeah, he's been all in. He and his dad have been all in for a long time back, I feel. And even if he loses this game, I still feel he's going to be all in.
Yeah, I mean, no one game.
Yeah,
won't change anything. I'm sure. That's cool though. That's great to hear. I've always felt like Jeffrey is just such a huge talent and like such a natural to me number 4 player for the U.S. behind like Fabi, Naka, Wesley So. If we could have like a 2780 Jeffrey Zhang there, that would be pretty sick.
Yeah, our U.S. team is so strong. And like right now, I think if you look at it by rating, like Sam is number 6.
He's out, yeah.
Because Lenier Dominguez is number 4 right now.
Right.
Right.
Even with Dominguez, the team is
Dominguez is amazing.
Impossibly strong because he's like, I would imagine he's unbeatable on board 4, like against everyone else. So huge competition, yeah, between like Shanklin, Zhang, Dominguez, I would say, because there's only 5 spots, or do they allow 2 alternates?
I think you could have 2 alternates, yeah, but you're not going to play. You're not going to play that much. Yeah, let's look at the Jeffrey game. I feel like he's on a probably objective level. He's toast, but very similar in a lot of ways to the other struggle with Amin and Draken, where we got pawns for a piece. But I like the other game better than this one because I really believe in that bishop on g7, the unopposed bishop, because it's so hard for white to get any play on the dark squares, right?
Yeah.
Just forget about the dark squares forever. But still, I think on a practical level, Jeffrey should be able to make at least a little bit of drama.
To me, it looks really hard. Because it feels like h7 is still very much a target. White's got knight g5, and yeah, let's say we just try to take on h7 and
Like
see what
right
happens. Yeah, go knight
Okay.
g5, gets king g8.
Okay.
And
Oh, I don't think you have anything.
yeah, there's no mate, right?
That's what I'm saying about the bishop on g7. He's a beast.
Yeah.
Even if I let you go queen h7 right now, I still think it's okay.
Right. That's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, well then let's play it. So okay, I was just asking, caveman approach. Let's play it a little
Sure.
bit more dynamically, like rook ed1, probably better
Right.
try.
I have a feeling that's what a lame-o like me would just play. He played queen d2.
Queen d2. Does rook takes e1? Does he want knight takes e1 here?
Yeah, okay. Queen d2 has a little bit of venom in it.
Wow, that's really interesting.
Yeah, so if rook e1, knight e1, he's going to say that there's a pin and win situation happening. Queen d2 was a good move. At the very least, I don't know how black gets out of it.
Very counterintuitive, but really strong, actually.
Because on rook f7, then your bishop h7 or knight g5 is going to be very hard to meet.
Yeah.
And oh no, oh no, oh no, big fish! What have you done? Fedoseev, man. Well,
People are talking in the game chat on chess.com. They're wondering about rook f7, so I let them know knight g5.
knight g5 or bishop h7. Either one of those looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Now, get me up to speed. So there's our channel, and then chess.com is also. Are they following us, or what are they watching?
Can you imagine? I don't think chess.com is really covering this event.
Oh, I see. But you said chess.com, the people on.
Oh, I meant, yeah, in live chess, there's people commenting on the game.
Right.
And they're discussing lines. Okay, we have some action on the rook sack with Amin and Esipenko. We had king e7 and then knight d5 check played.
I think you get a point for that. Whoa, we're not that bad, Kostya. We called all of these moves.
That's true. I didn't mention the move. I don't know if I really believed in it.
Now, one thing that I was confused about is, of course, knight d5 was like the first thing that comes to mind. But if
Oh, there we go.
rook f5, oh my god, if something like, right, if you're going to give up the pawn, you need something. And so white is saying the something that I've got is rook f5. Oh, okay.
It's a big move. Yeah, we looked at this position earlier, didn't see anything clear. I thought e4, for example, black also just goes back queen e6. But here the knight on c5 is hanging.
Oh, but look what he did. He played queen e6, and I assume the point is if rook c5, then rook h8. Oh, but that doesn't win.
Yeah, there's rook c7. Check.
I have some questions about that one, though, because then king d8.
Yeah, this is really concerning because rook h4 and queen e3 are coming.
Okay, but imagine rook c5, rook h8. Maybe just, what if you just go queen d3, for example?
Mm-hmm.
Hold your pawn. Aren't we okay all of a sudden? Or even queen e4. We won the knight, man. Well, not queen e4, because then we go queen takes, knight takes rook h4.
Yeah. Queen d3 I like. Yeah, very logical.
And I don't know what's going on then. He played. They played it all very quickly, so you can tell they had spent some time figuring it out. I guess. Yeah, maybe White figured it out truly all out when he played King H1 on move 28. But Rook F5 was the key resource that I didn't see. I didn't see Rook F5 just looking at it on a superficial level anyway.
That was a nice find.
Let's play Rook takes C5 and see what we can see.
Other than Rook H8, I don't really see another move there for Black. Queen takes E3. White has Queen E4 check, Rook C7, so many things.
He played Queen E6 so quickly. So let's say there's something obvious. Fedoseev plays Queen E6 quickly, and all of a sudden White's like, what? Can I just take the knight? And we are also just like, what? Can't you take the knight? So now he's thinking about it, and we're thinking about it, and it looks like White is on top. Now, to be fair, Rook H8, Queen D3, Rook H4, King G1. White only is up a pawn, but his Rook on C5 is all of a sudden a real customer.
Yeah.
Maybe actually the variation could go Rook takes C5. Wait, let me refresh and make sure. Sometimes I make the moves and then it does its own thing. Rook C5 hasn't been played yet. But Kostya, let's say Rook C5. How about Rook H8, Queen D3, Rook H4, King G1, and then Queen D6, claiming that I don't know. That's also confusing.
Hard to imagine, right? I mean, in the endgame, White's king is just super well placed and just starts shepherding these pawns.
Right, and don't trade queens.
Even Rook D5 looks nice. Just allowing Queen H2 check, putting the king on F2, knight coming to F3, and yeah, definitely starting to look quite good for White.
I think we're missing something though, because Queen E6 was played so quickly, and now White's thinking about it.
How about Queen D6 after Rook takes C5? Idea from Pawn Grubber.
I don't understand what's going on if he just goes back to F5 with the Rook, and then he's hitting your Rook, your knight.
True. So yeah, we're asking why can't White just take on C5? I mean, to me it just seems like, well, I mean, after Rook F5, like what else is Black gonna do? Because I don't necessarily feel like he has to have a solution. I think in this position after like Rook C5, Rook H8, Queen D3 takes King G1, I mean, definitely feels like Black is worse, but at least you feel like the game continues. Whereas,
but you know what? The more I look at it, it might just be over.
Maybe it's just bad. Yeah, it's just bad.
Because it's like one of these positions where if who's ever got the safer king is going to win.
Right.
And White has a pawn in front of his king.
Yeah, extra pawn means more coverage.
Huh. That's the kind of position where most like weak GMs like myself aren't that good at finding the move Rook F5 when you play King H1. Then second of all, like that's the kind of thing that's really hard to calculate. And something when you look at the computer, I have a feeling that's going to be when you play King E7, and we both thought that was the main move. I'm going to just guess right away, like the computer probably finds something better for Black than King E7 because it sees Rook F5.
Right.
Because as we said, there wasn't really a clear threat after King H1. It was other moves that Black could have done to, do something about his problems in the position.
Yes, but also it's just really hard to say what, because I mean, all of Black's pieces seem to be just exactly placed where they need to be, like knight on C5 covering the E4 square, and
Yeah.
But yeah, let's. Okay, I guess we'll leave white to think about it here. I feel like maybe we should jump back to Jeffrey's game actually, because this
Yeah.
might be over soon.
Sure.
We had knight b8 played, and now bishop f5.
That looks horrendous.
Wow.
He undeveloped his knight and his rook. Wow. Let's go back to 23 h takes d3, because at least there I felt that black was winning, or at least much better, let's say.
Mm-hmm.
Right? And let's see. I have a feeling that Fedoseev also thought he was at least better. So d5, snip, snip, and now maybe the next two moves by black are wrong, because what rook e7 does is it invites the exchange of that rook, who is so important on the defense of the 7th rank.
Yeah.
Right? So, like, it's similar to our last game. We can ask the question, like, what is white threatening? Maybe he's threatening rook h5. But even that isn't like an end-of-the-world threat. So we can imagine black making all kinds of other moves. Queen c8, rook b8, queen b6. I assume all of those moves are possible.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm not actually. I don't see white doing anything with any of those moves. Whereas rook e7, queen f4, and then all of a sudden things get weird. And I think queen d2 was the move of the backwards move that black must have underestimated, because now all of a sudden,
Yeah,
after
queen d2 is. I mean, this is like, call it anything, like cold-blooded fire, ice in your veins. Squeezies are just like whole song of ice and fire, and you just, ugh.
And yeah,
with the idea of like knight e1 too, just so like.
Now he has 2 pawns and the compensation. Yeah, it's over.
Oh yeah, so this has happened in the game. Rook takes, knight takes, queen e8, bishop d7, knight d7, rook takes d7, king h8, knight f3, h6. No, this is nothing. I mean, this is just resignable.
Over. Yeah.
Knight h4. Wow. Hopefully we get Jeffrey in here. He was happy to talk to us the other day. It would be great to ask him about this game.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how confident he was in his attack.
Yeah, it was funny how it shifted immediately. Okay, so yeah, the thing that we'll ask him is, what did he think the evaluation was after rook takes d5? Right?
Well, I would like to know throughout the game what he thought the evaluation was. Yeah,
Sure.
But do you think he'll come here and say that he thought he was busted, or do you think he'll never go lower than unclear?
I'm gonna say he thought he was clearly worse, but had practical chances.
That's a good guess.
That's my guess.
It's a really good guess. Okay, it's not over yet, actually. Queen e4, that's a very strong queen.
What are you talking about? It's not over yet?
I mean, this last move has struck me. I have been moved by black's last... Oh, rook e7. Oh, never mind.
Yeah, never mind, bro. Never mind.
Oh.
Ouch.
Wow. That's a move you play and you apologize to your opponent, like, I'm sorry, I have to do this.
But it goes to, even if it was like black's move in that position, it's still totally over. We got 2 pawns. Our king is safe. The knight's hopping all around.
Yeah, you just do anything you want. I think I felt like he was confident at first. I don't know, it did look really shaky for a moment there. I think maybe he'll say it was just unclear, or that he had good chances and was not worse.
The other thing is, the other question to ask him, that's really interesting, is like, did he feel provoked in the opening? Like, I was like, oh, this is the way Black was playing, it seemed like he was asking for punishment.
Yeah, we certainly were triggered by what Black did.
Yeah, we were triggered. That's the right word. Yeah. Yeah.
All right, Rook F8. I do feel like Black is at least, like, for having a completely lost position, is, defending in some kind of reasonable way where everything is about as active as it can possibly be. And, okay, against someone at this level, it's, very unlikely to be enough. But at lower levels, I mean, these games overturn all the time. So I think just regardless of how bad your position might be, I think it's always in your best interest to stay optimistic and just try to keep your chances alive.
No, I think he should resign.
Okay.
I think it's over.
Well, Queen D7, that's a good move.
Yeah, he's not even. There's more than one good move. He can think about F4. He can think about G4. He can think about all kinds of things. He just snipped the pawn on A7 and said, "What?" Yeah, because chess is an easy game.
Wow, Rook takes A7.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you very much.
Opening up Queen D7. That's the kind of move Black might resign after, right? No threats to deal with, nothing to do, no purpose.
So I get massive points, man. I called exactly what was going to happen in the Amin game. Impressive, most impressive.
Oh, nice,
most
nice.
impressive.
We got Rook C5, Rook H8, Queen D3 takes Queen D6. Yeah, it's all on the board.
And the thing that was amazing to me here is that I feel like if White can find some good move with the Queen, and he just found one with Queen F5, is some move where you do not trade queens, that it will be very hard, probably impossible for Black to defend this thing. And Queen F5 is brutal because there's no Queen D2 due to Rook C7.
Yeah. I really like it doesn't stop. I think some players when they sacrifice earlier in the game, they kind of run out of like sacrifice energy where they're not willing later to like give up more pieces, but he's just endless. Every move, he's ready to just hang stuff as long as is working. Very concrete.
Yeah. So we got two Iranian players here in this event, right?
That's right.
And excuse me. The Parhamov, that guy's really a fascinating guy to me, because that was the guy before Firuza was kind of on everybody's mind. He was the up-and-coming Iranian dude, and he's got a great tagline that might even refer to himself on chess.com. It says, under his name, it says, "Lions do not recover like humans."
Wow.
Man, I don't know what it means.
Yeah, what does that mean?
Well, I don't know what it means, but just my first thought was like, well, this guy was the up-and-coming guy, and he said something amazing, like maybe 2 years ago, where he said, like, I'm going to be world champion in like 3 or 4 years.
Right.
And, that became just like, clearly he was talented, but it was clear he wasn't going to become world champion in 3 or 4 years. And then Firuza's just like crushing him. So perhaps he's referring to himself, that he's the lion who didn't recover. I don't know.
Yeah, the prophecy was referring to the wrong Iranian player. People thought
that's right.
He thought he was speaking, about destiny. I remember that. Yeah, that was printed in New in Chess, and
right.
Apparently he works on his chess. We're talking about Para Magsudla, by the way. I guess I'll put up their game here. He works on his chess like 10 hours a day, which makes sense if you're just a professional chess player and you're super motivated. And he's, of course, young enough and is good enough at a young enough age that I think his potential is definitely kind of like hard to limit right now. And I mean, it was Parham who won the World Junior Championship 1 or 2 years ago. with a really big score. I think he beat Esipenko in that tournament, if I remember correctly. And Jeffrey has won his game. Fedoseev resigned after rook takes a7, rook g8 here, and queen to d5.
Cool. Yeah, hopefully we'll get Jeffrey in here and he can give us his evaluation here. Especially, too, of this other brilliancy game going on with this game with Amin. I mean, this, as far as I can, maybe this is like pure genius through and through. I mean, this is a really high-level thing that he's pulling off here.
Yeah.
With his king dancing in the pocket, and, well, if black doesn't have a good move now, it's all over. Knight e4 is coming, or knight f3 is coming.
Absolutely. Looks super dangerous. Jesse, let's take a quick break. We'll see if we can get Jeffrey in here for the interview.
Sure.
And we'll be right back, guys. All right, guys. We got Grandmaster Jeffrey Zhang with us. He just won really nice game against Fedoseev. This one is fascinating to me and David earlier, and then to Jesse. So, yeah, Jeffrey, our main question for you about this game was just like, what did you think was the evaluation, let's say, out of the opening, and then when, you had to sacrifice a piece and so on?
Yeah, so, okay, I opted for the London, so it was clear I was not really going for any theory battle. And I think I received a very playable position. It's kind of reversed Slav, I think, where I have tempo up. And yeah, I think I wasn't sure what was the evaluation either. I mean, probably black should be fine, but I preferred my position after he pushed c4. I think maybe it wasn't necessary for him to do that, because after I go e4, I think my position is very easy to play.
I see. Actually, Jeffrey, let me invite you to our analysis board here, so you can just show whatever lines you like. Yeah. We can follow you. There we go. Should have gotten an invite there. Awesome. Yeah, go for it.
Yeah, so here, as I was saying, I didn't expect, okay, up till here was logical, but, yeah, here I expected maybe something like knight g7 or along these lines, because, yeah, when I go bishop h4, I think my idea is to play g4, so he wanted to react to this, but after c4, bishop e7, yeah, I think now g4 is not too good, because when he goes f5, I don't have any breaks. So that's why I decided to change to e4. And now it's already tricky, because if he plays normal, let's say here he could have played more standard with the castles, something like this on the queen side, but now my idea was knight f1, knight e3, and it's actually not easy for him to guard this d5 pawn, because g5 never works, and he never wants to push f5 because of the e5 square. So I thought his position was already quite difficult. And he tried something very interesting. I didn't think it worked, but it was much more hard for me to refute. So he played g4. Actually, sorry, here I was calculating some lines like this, and I get 3 pawns for a piece, but I think it's not as clear as what I had in the game, so I decided not to go for this.
Mm-hmm.
Did you feel provoked? Like in this position, especially after g4, did you feel like, no, you can't play chess like this?
Yeah, I did actually have those thoughts. I mean, I couldn't believe it could work for black, because even if he wins the piece, which he did, there's always huge compensation because of the weak king.
Uh-huh.
So yeah, I expected this, although I did actually blunder e5 here. I realized this after I played knight e4, that he had this option, and I'm not actually sure what's going on. So when I move the queen, he takes, I think I have to take, and then f5. And now again, all my pieces are kind of hanging. But, okay, still I go knight c5. I still believe that in the end, white will actually be coming out on top, because anytime he pushes f4, there's going to be a big weakness on h7. So yeah, maybe this is what he should have gone for, and I'm not sure what happens. So in the game he played this, and at first I thought this was just losing, because I thought I had d5 here. But actually I think his idea is to take and play king h8, and somehow black's position looks very loose, but I didn't see anything clear.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, David and I spent like 10 minutes on this position because we were like, no, for sure there's some kind of win here, but we...
Yeah, I absolutely had the same. Actually, I spent about 15 minutes here as well, because I was sure, I mean, something should work for me, but I just couldn't find it.
Why don't we just show the cute tactic here? So knight f5, bishop f5, and then the queen's hanging and the bishop's hanging.
Right.
Right. So then he gets out of dodge with this, and then all of a sudden he's alive.
Yeah.
Very. Yeah, that's like a cold shower all of a sudden. Yeah. Okay, right. So knight f3, 21, move 21. That was like your first super big thing too of the game.
Yeah, and I was very happy with this move actually, because once I started considering this move, I realized it's really not easy for black. Because first of all, I mean, he just has no clear moves and two big targets here. I didn't see anything other than rook f7, and after rook d1, it just looks super tough.
Okay, Jeffrey, I'm going to admit that, like, I believed that black should be punished for his chess crimes, but then when I saw the position here with bishop f6, I started to say to myself, well, maybe he's just fine. Maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but after d5 ed rook d5, how do you deal with all the threats?
Okay, let me just ask you this, because maybe I don't see it. What is your threat?
Well, I think rook b5, rook h5, rook ed1 are the main threats.
The main threats. Okay, because one thing that was hard for me to believe is just the bishop on f6 seems like it's such a good defender, and black has so many different moves here.
Yeah, I'll say that actually bishop f6 was probably good, because originally I also was thinking take with queen, but now after queen f8, I think here black is absolutely fine, because I don't have any clear way. But when I take with the rook, I thought I didn't actually see a good defense for it.
So okay, let's just for kicks, let's play queen f8 here.
Yeah, but now everything's hanging. So I mean, rook d7, for example.
Right. Good.
Move. Actually, I think I'll play this because b5 will drop in c4, so that's 4 pawn clearing.
Okay. Okay. Let's try another one. So, rook d5. So I assume on like queen b6, you're gonna play rook h5. Is that right?
There will be all kinds of tactics though.
All right, let's just try it. Queen b6.
Yeah, I'm trying to make rook d7 work, but maybe it's not there just yet. Okay, I have to deal with rook e8 somehow. Yes, actually, surprisingly, I didn't even consider queen b6. I just assumed there must be something.
Well, right, okay, and we should say the reason why you probably didn't is that the queen is leaving her man, which you usually don't want to do, right? But yeah, something like, well, one of the reasons I believed in black was just that bishop on f6 is such a beautiful defender. But right, this, I don't know.
Let me just consider this line.
Okay, sure.
Check. Bishop h7.
Yeah.
Nice, +1.
You have to go to g7, right?
Sure.
Now maybe rook e4. Bring this rook in. Actually, yeah, okay, rook e4.
I was thinking 95 here is black. I didn't know what to do.
95 is a nice shot. Yeah. Yeah, 95 is nice.
Costa's been doing his puzzle rush. Yeah.
I thought the position was pretty good. Feels like white should have something, but queen b6 makes sense because he doesn't get into the trouble in the game with the pin on the d file.
Actually, you know, Jeffrey, even if somehow queen b6 does solve black's problems, what's interesting for me is just your confidence level in that position, because it's so unforcing in the sense that the guy can do so many different things, right? And I would just be kind of freaked out just by the number of different things that the guy could do. And you just felt confidence based on, well, all these things that you mentioned with rook h5, rook b5, and I guess this stuff to here and the stuff on here with the rook d7 stuff.
Yeah, I mean, from the start, I felt my compensation was huge. I mean, right here, I think, was where I had to understand whether I had enough for a piece, and I thought it's certainly more than enough. Especially when I saw here, it's already very tough for him, I thought. But yeah, clearly, rook e7 maybe was already a mistake, but after bishop g7, I think already everything is winning for him.
Well, right, and the thing that was funny about it, right, is that rook on the 7th was his key defender, and he's trading it off. Right?
Yeah, well, I think he maybe also, like me, he didn't even seriously consider queen b6, because besides, I mean, in this position, I couldn't see anything for him, so it wasn't too surprising when he played rook e7.
Okay, let me just play devil's advocate. Let's say he plays queen c7. Also, I just want to play rook e8.
Yeah, now I might... Yeah, queen 7 is more logical for me.
Maybe just rook b... I don't know, maybe you could play rook e5.
Yeah, I'm thinking this is always an option, but also rook ed1, because now I will stop rook e8, right? With rook d7. So if you don't get rook e8, it's almost impossible to consolidate.
Hmm.
Well, maybe you have rook e7.
Even here, though, I have to... Maybe I feel like I'm certainly the ignorant one here, because I just keep believing in black's counter, chances, like even just rook d8.
Hey, we got Chessweeb with the huge raid. Welcome in. We got Jeffrey Zhang here going over his win over Fedoseev, which was just really interesting. How about knight g5? Is this a move here for white? Maybe with or without.
Knight g5 is always there. It's always in the air. I'm just not sure if he will get a tempo to rook e7.
He'll get a tempo rook e7.
I think it's always good. Even rook d5 I like, because if I get the 4th pawn, I don't think I can complain. Yeah, rook b5 anytime should just be much better for white.
All right. Okay. Well, right. Really interesting then, because yeah, I thought I would make a confession, Jeffrey. When we got to this position, we were like trying to guess what you would say, and I said I was totally wrong, and I said Jeffrey's going to say that he was clearly worse, but he had good counter chances. That's what I thought you were going to say, and so I was wrong about definitely how you felt about the position. Very interesting that you had such confidence here. And maybe you had confidence just because the guy had broken like all the rules of chess getting to this point, right? He really did break all the rules.
Yeah, that did help. Usually when black plays like this, it can never amount to anything good. So, but
Right.
in general, I mean, intuitively, I felt this whole position
Right.
had to be good for me.
Well, Jeffrey, before we let you go, I have to ask you something. We've got a chess friend, and he is on the warpath against the London. In short, this player says that if you play the London, not only are you playing a bad opening, but you are actively making yourself a dumber human being. So I thought I'd give you the chance to respond because you played it. It ended up being a very interesting position.
Yeah, I mean, I think actually any chess opening, even if it has, let's say, a drier reputation, chess is so rich that if both sides are willing to play interesting chess, you're gonna get an exciting fight. But okay, this guy he does actually have a point in a sense that there are other openings that might be better to learn from. That's why I would say if someone's new to chess, the London is not a good opening to pick up, in my opinion, because you will learn much more from playing other openings. But okay, in my case, it's a reasonable decision.
Okay, well said.
Yeah, I think Jeffrey has earned the right to just play whatever he wants. If you want to play the Grob, you go for it. You make it work. Well, thanks for coming on, Jeffrey. By the way, did you catch this other game between Amin and Andre?
I didn't. I can take a look now. Yeah, I saw it.
Yeah, what did you think of this? I mean, did you? I don't know how much you saw this during your game, but yeah, another really interesting position. We weren't sure if White is having enough, but now it's like clarified, I guess. To now, it just seems like White is still in good shape. Although after Rook B6, is it super clear?
No, for sure it's not clear. But on the other hand, Black doesn't actually have a threat, so that's very good news for White. So, okay, but in the meantime...
Well, Rook C2 is a threat, right? Or Rook B2 is a threat.
Yeah, Rook B2 I go King F3, though. So there's no...
But it's Queen G2 and...
Oh, wait, sorry. For some reason that didn't occur to me. Okay, yeah, so this needs to be dealt with. Yeah, the problem is if White moves the Rook, Queen E5 will come, so I don't really want to play Rook C2.
Maybe King F3?
Yeah, I was thinking about King F3, but then Rook B1 could be annoying.
But don't we have like Queen F6 once he plays anything like that?
Yeah, exactly, yeah, true. So King F3... I guess Rook E6 might come.
Something like that, yeah, but if you look at this game, it's really an amazing game. Let's show him the King H1 question. Let's go back to King H1.
Yeah, if you go to move 27, Rook AD8, White spent a ton of time here. And yeah, actually, we again felt like White was not really clear. Yeah, actually, what White is up to in terms of like what White can threaten here. And then he went into the tank. Then he comes up with King H1, and still no obvious threat for White, but gets Black to go King E7. Then we get Knight D5, takes Rook F5, and here I guess is where the game kind of swings to White's favor.
Yeah, I like moves like King H1 a lot. This is a very impressive move, I think.
Nice, yeah.
Yeah,
then just one material back. Okay.
We felt it had a lot of similarities actually to your game, where it was.
Yeah. I also see that it's similar where you sacrifice and then you play some quiet moves.
Yeah.
Cool, Jeffrey. Well, you're doing great in the tournament. I got 2 more rounds, right? Thursday and Friday. So we'll wish you luck. Thanks for joining us. And yeah, keep up the awesome chess.
All right, thank you guys.
All right, bye.
Thanks, Jeffrey. All right, guys, we'll be right back. And we are back, guys. We just had Jeffrey talk about his game. That was really interesting. I love the confidence there. He just like felt like his position was good, and maybe even if objectively Black has something there, I just feel like that optimism probably helpful during the game in terms of being able to come up with strong moves.
Well, right. I mean, that move knight f3, he thought forever, and it was kind of like a positional conception. And I think if I come to it fresh, I wasn't watching the beginning. I saw that Black had played provocative chess, but I think that narrative of you being better after your opponent plays like that is a powerful thing, even for a strong super GM like Jeffrey, so that you can come to that position and believe that you are much better when in fact maybe you aren't. Maybe you aren't. But yeah, and the confidence, like you said, is helpful, because otherwise you're gonna just fall apart. Like Black had so many moves in that one position,
right?
And for a lot of us, especially people who need to calculate stuff out after they've sacrificed some material, it's near impossible to just be like, okay, I just trust in the position. Right? You're going to be freaking out instead. You're like, oh no.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I've always felt like it's just harder for the defender, is you have so many moves and you have to deal with all of the opponent's threats. So easy to mess up, even if your position is objectively good. I'm reminded of this one game a couple of years ago between Magnus and Topalov, where Magnus threw like all of his pieces at Topalov's king, and there was this one position where Topalov decides to like sacrifice his queen, defensively to get a lot of material for it and hold. And then turn out in that position, it would have been better if he just made 0 moves. Like White had no threats. He could have done like a6, anything on the queen side, and yeah, he was fine. But you see Ghost, you feel like your opponent is about to checkmate you, and well, you lose the game. Now here we got knight g3 on the board from Amin after a bit of a think, 16 minutes. So he's now down to 10. Makes sense. He's kind of shielding his king. Maybe knight e2 is the follow-up if rook b2 check. Makes a lot of sense, actually. He's also blocking the queen off, right?
Yes, I'm a little worried though. Like, can we put this in our analysis board?
Yeah, absolutely.
Put that in our analysis board. I guess I could do it too.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, Bri, you can help out too. Here, I'll grab. Sure. And so I feel I wasn't. There's problems. Well, just on a superficial look, I like my king f3 better, but let's check it out. So here we are, and he's just played knight g3. And let's say rook b2, right?
Yeah.
Knight e2 seems forced. And then queen h4 is the move that worries me.
Oh, we got a draw, by the way, in Mamadjarov versus Laquang Liem. I'll just quickly switch there. Yeah, here Shock was pushing, but it looks like Liem found a way to give up a pawn and get into a drawish rook endgame. Trades everything off with f5, and now at some point, Black will just give their rook for the b pawn, but get enough counterplay with the g pawn that White will also have to give their rook. Cool. I'll see if one of the players maybe wants to come on. We had Shaq on last time. Maybe Liam might want to join us, talk about the game. Not the most exciting game compared to the others, but I'm sure there was a lot of nuances that we just didn't have a chance to cover. So yeah, let me ask the group here.
And while you're doing that, I'm just reviewing what the thing I don't understand about knight g3. Oh, what am I saying? There is no knight g5. Okay. I should point out, there is no knight. Oh, Kosi, could you put up the analysis board while you're doing whatever you need to do?
Yeah, absolutely. Here we go.
I was talking and no one understood what I was saying.
Oh,
So,
sorry.
it's all right. Over here we had knight g3, which is the move, which has currently been played. And after rook b2, this was kind of my concern. I was like, if white has to play rook c2, then I felt like black. I wanted white to try to mate. Basically, I wanted him to play for mate, and the other way besides rook c2 would have been this move knight e2, and it certainly looks very scary for black. Something like queen h4, king f3, and there's no knight g5 because just queen takes g5. Our rook is serving us a purpose over there. In any case, for whatever reason, white did not want to do that and played the much safer rook c2. And the claim here is not only that we're up a pawn, but that the black queen is sidelined on h2. And so whether I'm right or wrong about knight e2, knight e2 is just the ambitious way to try to finish the game. This way is a tamer approach, which holds the ability to say we're never going to lose and we have good chances to win, and maybe we're just outright winning because the queen is just way out of play on h2. So that's what we're looking for there. Rook c2 is on the board, and so it looks like Amin is now finishing the game not in the style he began it with, but definitely like white is either clearly better or winning after rook c2. Either clearly better, yeah. So that's exciting, and some amazing things happening where it's proving me and Kostya wrong with Magsuglu against Wonder is a Wonder is simply down a pawn now. And we were talking about how we liked black earlier. I still like black earlier and feel like a Wonder must have missed some kind of chance.
Yeah, because now it doesn't look quite as nice without the rooks on the board.
Yeah, let me actually, I made a similar mistake where I need to grab it and then we can talk about it in the analysis board here. Let's see. So, boom. And so let's go back. We liked this position for black. Oh, I still do. Rook a5 was good. He exchanges.
Jesse, let's take a quick break. We got Kwang Liem back in the meeting, so we'll grab him for an interview. We can go over his game. We'll be right back, guys. Hey folks, we are back with Super GM Kwang Liem, who just made a draw with Shak Mamedyarov, and it's going to take us through the game. So there are some really exciting games. You'll have to forgive us. We didn't spend a ton of time going through the details, but maybe you can take us through. What did you think of the opening and so on?
Yeah, I think my game is pretty quiet for most of the game. It's not the most challenging way White can play. So I guess he was trying to play this quiet position, make himself a little bit, and trying to play technical chess. So I think he managed just that. It's also a little bit of my fault. I think I could have equalized much easily, much more easy. After a3, yeah, here I think for some reason I didn't play b4 and I regretted that after I played queen d8, because after queen d8 knight e2 is only a little bit tricky, because now if b4 he has a4 and I don't get to open up the queen side, and if I play a5 this might make one to b3 later. So it's not a very pleasant endgame, though I guess it's just to be a rapid core, but b4 I think is a much better way to play, because if you go knight e2, then I just play a queen d6 if he has how to play. So he has to take, and then that's it, queen d6. So this is a very complete way to play. That's perhaps only move, and queen press b4. And the thing is, okay, I have the corner a6, but he also has one weak corner b2, and most likely these two points will just be exchanged and simply drawn. So I think the most white can do is queen c7, trying to, for example, if rook c8, queen a5, b8, b1. Kind of this type of position, maybe he's to have some small pressure on a6, but I miss this move. I think it's needed draw.
Oh, interesting.
The key thing is, yeah, I don't know, knight bishop. Let's say knight take, a8, a7, critical move, and then I can just go to f8, and knight to d5, totally damaged. So if I seen this, I think the game would have ended much earlier, and I wouldn't have to suffer that much in the game.
After rook f8 on move 20, in that last variation,
Yes.
could black have played, or white have played rook b1?
Oh wait. Yeah, that's a good
Well, at least it gives us a flavor of the kind of problems you were facing with this technical chess he was trying to give you, right? Yeah, he was
Right,
trying to give
right.
you business with the technical chess.
Yeah, I guess black has to be very accurate, and if I can manage to find a few good moves and then equalize, but if not, like in the game, I will suffer for a long time.
Yeah, how close did you think you were to being in big trouble in the game?
Sorry, just to finish my thought here, maybe queen f8 would be a better move. I don't know. F8, maybe because b5 now I have to play that and queen b4. So what? Yeah, probably still a little bit unpleasant here. Okay,
Right.
so back to your question, I think after I allow knight e2, I think this quite a better position for white. Thing is I don't really like b4, and if I don't do anything special, then it's not on c5. So in the game, I think he got a very nice position, and that endgame, rook and knight endgame was really unpleasant to defend because I had to decide between sitting active play, but then it also means weakening the position, just waiting passively, which I did in the game. And luckily it was enough, but you know, playing passively doesn't always feel nice.
Yeah.
Because see, I think there's a sound problem, and we've had this before. I think you have to click on the OBS. You have to enable, or you got to change the audio settings to enable the desktop audio.
Yeah, I think basically just quiet. Although, yeah, Liam, if you have a way of like turning up the volume of your mic, that would be helpful. I've tried to turn you up a little bit. Yeah, it's hard.
Hear me better?
I've been hearing you fine, so I don't know. It's up to the stream. If that was to me, it did feel a little bit louder.
Okay, just speak a little louder here. Is it better now?
We hear you great. It's
Yeah.
just that I think it's the desktop audio thing that
Just something with the stream settings.
Yeah.
But we.
But they're saying I'm low too. It's just Anyways, those are common chess problems with the stream. So right, take us through where you think white might have had a better chance to give you grief in the game.
Okay, so first of all here, I also wasn't sure if I should play b4 or if I should put my king there. And
Oh, I'm sorry, guys. It should be much better now. Excuse me. I think I figured out the issue. But yeah, go ahead. I think it should be good now.
Okay. Yeah, so here I decided to play actively with b4. I didn't like to just wait with king to d6 because then maybe he played b4, king knight to c5, and then eventually open up the position with e4. So here I decided that I need some space for my pieces, but okay, this I have a big weakness on e6, so that's a little bit tricky here. Yeah, I think this endgame is already quite unpleasant for me. So for example here, I think if this rook c8 is the only move, otherwise b4, rook a5, b5, pawn starts.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, for example, if I play a move like king a5 in b4 and then rook can never move again, and then once can just go up rook a5, maybe b5, and c3, and c5. So, yeah, I thought this was the only moment to bring the rook out and then knight to b8. But still, yeah, everything looks so nice for white. So, yeah, I think it played pretty well at this point. So I had to bring my knight back to c7 to defend a6.
But here, maybe you're just holding, right? Maybe you're just okay.
No, maybe. Yeah, I had to just wait passively here. I didn't really see a way for him to break through. But yeah, he had some really nice idea. For example, if he had rook d7, rook c2, I think a5 doesn't work because he can sack the exchange. And this pawn is very dangerous.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, nice. That's beautiful.
Yeah.
Hey, if I could ask something, I mean, I feel like your move king h7, to me, this is a really difficult move to make because you just have to sit and like you're not helping your position at all. Like, did you consider ways of improving your position here, but you just didn't? You just felt like everything is weakening. Anything you do?
Yeah, I did consider f6 or f5, but owner's move will weaken e6, and then eventually maybe he put the knight on e5, c2, so it can be very unpleasant there. So I don't know, and the king cannot really go to f8 or f6, so
Yeah.
I kind of had to decide between king g8, king g6, or king g7. And also I think h5 doesn't really work because there is something take and knight g7.
Oh.
And let's say rook d7, knight e5, and it's hard to defend this pawn.
Yeah. Yeah. So now, yeah, start creating weaknesses.
Yeah, so that card play didn't really work for me. Although I would love to exchange these pawns because later on my rook may be able to come this way. But yeah, I just had to wait here. I didn't see any better thing I could do. But in the game, I think maybe rook c2 here. So my plan was rook c2. I started on knight e5, and now I'm threatening a5. Not sure how good it is though. For example, and then a5. Oh, sorry. Yeah, this
B6,
should
yeah.
be okay. Yeah. King before. Okay, I still had to defend a little bit, but I guess eventually it should be okay. Because whenever he play e4, then g4, so we can retake next. So maybe he could have tried something like this.
Yeah, you're not out of trouble yet, huh?
Yeah. Also, there was one interesting moment here. I could have played instead of. Yeah, sorry for going back a little bit. So I was. Yeah, exactly here. I was thinking about a5. So b8 rook a6, and I rejected this move because he has e4. Rook a5, rook a5, knight a5, ed, and knight b4 wins a pawn. So I have to take this. And I think this knight endgame may be lost because the king is coming here and b5.
Mm-hmm.
So this can be very, very dangerous. Or d5 first, I don't know, probably d5 first.
Right.
So yeah, it was the type of position that you should never get yourself into. Very passive defense, and you have to be alert all the time. So
But-
yeah, I think maybe he also didn't find anything. So here I had to be accurate again because he's trying to king the rook here, and maybe king here, a4 and a5. So yeah, that's why I had to play rook d6 because now I think if rook a5, I was planning knight d5, and if knight takes ab, I think his king doesn't get through. But I wasn't sure about this move. It was very interesting.
Oh man.
Yeah, I think maybe if he had to go for win at own cost, maybe he would go for this. But it's also risky.
You
I
could
don't
throw
know.
a
Maybe I
knight.
should take it for
You could
first.
take that pawn too. Yeah.
Right. But this feels dangerous for black.
Yeah.
Pawn is going really fast there.
What about? Let me ask an obvious question. Maybe our viewers are wondering. After knight b5, what about what's going on after knight a4?
Yeah, I plan to go to c6.
And then you're just gonna go back to c7, right?
Right. Yeah, and the key thing is I don't allow king to a5. So if rook goes back now, then rook is
Yeah, that's something we looked at with David. Whenever white's king gets up to a5, black just goes rook b5 check, and
right.
even if white takes on a6, black can take on b4 in a lot of cases.
Right.
Yeah.
But I think the critical move is that rook takes a6. I don't know how to evaluate this position.
Right.
So let's say I take knight d5, and now my king is kind of far away. If I had waited with king g8, then the king is a little bit closer. But here, let's say if I play king g7, knight c3 back, or knight a3, let's say knight c3, king in. Maybe this is risky for white. A8.
I don't even know which version is better, because in the other version we were getting a pawn, but white was also up a lot of time, I think. If black had taken on d4, it's really interesting.
Because then you don't really get your king there.
You just have b5 and king comes in immediately.
Yeah. Could be very dangerous here because the king is really fast.
Wow.
Or maybe knight a4.
Yeah, because
something like this. King b5, king b7, king b6. So I don't know. This could be winning for white, but I guess
it's gonna be a hard call. Wait, let me ask one more dumb question. So on knight c7 and this thing we just did, I'm just amazed that he could. So on knight d7, what's gonna happen there? And then you're saying rook c3 is gonna be a big deal. You're gonna take on e3.
Right. So you have to go back knight c5.
Oh, wait a second. What if I play? Oh, I guess. I guess. Part of me really wants. Okay, king b2. Let me just try.
Okay. So let me just make a way to move king c7.
And knight b8. Oh, and then you're gonna play.
Okay.
And knight b8.
Right. Sorry, I missed that. Okay, maybe I have to go. Yeah, I don't have to c3. So it would be fine. I have to go knight e6.
Sorry guys, on knight b8 there,
Uh-huh.
was there rook b6, and then if knight takes a6, knight d6?
Yeah, that's possible. Maybe white has to sacrifice a pawn.
Just gives e3 up, yeah, and just keeps the
Yeah,
b pawn.
that's a king b3, knight c4,
Looks very dangerous
nice.
for black.
For sure.
Yeah. King a4, b5 is very dangerous. Also maybe rook a7, just trade the rook. Yeah, this is not what I want to do. But I think if I play knight d6 there. So it's not too bad. c5, I have knight c4, and then rook d6.
Yeah, knight d6. Yeah, that's hard to meet. I don't know. Maybe rook c5. Yeah.
I think I cannot trade a rook, so I have to go here, and then maybe check. Foxing king g6. I don't know. Could it be dangerous? Knight h5, knight e3, c8? Can also be dangerous.
Yeah, knight e5 was also possible too.
Oh right, knight e5 is strong too. Knight e5. I have to take and rook b6. And then you can bring the king that way. Yeah, it could be the better move than what he did in the game. But also this is looking very dangerous because I cannot take e3. c8 is some waiting threat.
So you're just playing for mate here, right? You're playing like knight e3 and then rook c8. That's the idea, and then
Yeah. Right. And it's f6, f5, and rook c7.
wow. Okay. Yeah, also impressive.
Yeah, and if rook back, then I think white can push e4. Okay, it's still not a loss for black. I think black can still hold. Maybe try to hold knight d6. But it's definitely not a fun position. So this knight is now strong and all
Right.
kinds of this. Yeah, it's very unpleasant here.
Yeah, definitely.
Well, why don't we get your take on what's going on in some of these games?
Sure.
Absolutely. Yeah.
got,
If you need to go at any point, just let us know. But yeah, we've got really exciting
Okay,
games.
no problem. Yeah. Just show me the other game.
So let's jump to Amin versus Esipenko. If you need the link, you can click this in Zoom.
Okay, I see that game.
Did you see any part of this game earlier? I don't know if you were watching the other
I
games.
did not. No, I thought you guys don't want us to watch other games while we are playing because we can see the evaluations, and then maybe other people can see that too. So that's why I didn't open any other game for that.
Oh, I see. I think you're allowed to. I don't think there are any rules against that.
In the World Online Opens, they say that we cannot watch the other games.
Oh, okay. Oh, so that is part of the rules. Gotcha.
Yeah.
All right. Well, yeah, I got this end game. Mm-hmm.
But there's no immediate mate win of the night, so you have to be patient.
knight g3 or something?
Yeah, I'll check first on d6 and knight g3.
Yeah.
Yeah, you ought to be winning here. Knight g3 is a very nice move, covering everything. And you're threatening e4, knight h5, g5, everything. So probably after knight g3, black has to go queen d2. Or king f7. Yeah, knight g3 is the best move. And then king f7 this time. And probably white can be greedy and go for the a7 pawn. Oh wait, maybe not. Knight g3, king h7, maybe just king h4? No, that doesn't look better.
Knight g3 was played.
Okay.
I think it's kind of, I think like something like king f7, and it's kind of hard because the queen h8 is at least annoying, as well as knight g5, so it's hard for white to do anything. So I assume he's going to be able to find something. after king f7.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's say queen d7 check first.
Right.
King f6. And then yeah, I kind of like king h4 to get out of this knight g5 threat.
Mm.
And then we have our threat like g5 or h5. So let's say king h4. I mean queen d7, king f6, king h4, king f6 on a3.
So king f7 was played.
Okay.
Yeah, now it definitely feels like queen d7 to stop the queen from h8 coming to h8. King h4.
And queen
Right.
d7 was played. King back to f6.
Yeah.
Yeah, white needs an idea. And I mean, maybe you could take on a7. Maybe, I don't know. It looks real dangerous.
Yeah, it looks very dangerous because black has knight g5.
But knight g5, king h4, and if knight f3, king h5,
Yeah. No, queen e5, then do that. Wait.
Queen
and
e5,
then we
yeah.
got mated. Exactly. That's
Queen h2.
yeah.
Alright.
I think
Okay.
king h4 has to be the move here.
So yeah.
I'm sure this is winning for white. It's just require a little bit of calculation.
What is the move that you think is winning here for white?
King h4.
King h4, right? Yeah, something like that.
Queen a3, I think is a critical move then. And white has to come up with something. I don't know what, but it feels winning.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it definitely does.
Maybe g5. King h4, queen a3, g5, king e5, queen d5 check. King, if king goes back, then knight f5 should win the knight.
Yeah, how about if black goes like queen c5 there?
Yeah, queen c5, and I was hoping for queen takes and king h5,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm not sure if that endgame is winning. Oh, okay. No, sorry, queen c5, just queen b2 wins immediately. Oh, sorry, you still have king d5. It's not so simple.
King d5. Yeah, it looks like a study.
Yeah, it's not over yet. Is this the last game?
There's this one, and Parham is also playing still with a Wonder. And a Wonder has been down upon for the whole game, but putting a lot of pressure. And that hasn't changed. The pieces have changed, but the evaluation has been like the exact same.
Oh, I see that game now. Yeah, it also looks very interesting.
Yeah, what would you think here? Does white have any advantage, or do you think only black can be good here?
You mean the game between Masuru and
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, white is definitely the one pushing for the win here. Up a pawn, but they have to be very patient here. Try to improve the position. It's also not clear how you bring the knight down. So I guess we will have to play queen f2, knight f1, knight e3, something like that. But still, it's not so clear what to do next.
Liam, can we ask? I want to ask you a question.
Okay.
Let's go back in that game, and we're at this interesting thing that maybe me and Kostu were wrong about. But go back to move, let's say, move 27.
Okay.
And Kostu will put it on the board for us.
Yeah.
Move 27. And the question is, who would you rather be, white or black?
If this is a blitz game, I probably would choose black.
Uh-huh.
Because it looks easier, much easier to play with black, and white has to be very careful. But since this is a classical game and I don't see an immediate attack for black, I think if white can make a couple of good moves, consolidate the positions, maybe exchange a couple of pieces, then white objectively had to be better.
Interesting. Yeah.
Well,
I still believe in black. I still, even in a classical game, I believe in black. But
Well, it's a playable position for black for sure.
yeah.
yeah. No, at my level, white doesn't hold this. Just, you just blunder something, something happens. Cool. So let's see. He was thinking a lot. Actually, I want to jump back to the other game real quick because we had a lot of checks all of a sudden. We had knight h5, queen b5, queen a6, queen a5, queen b4, queen b8. So putting the queen on the back rank is interesting. Maybe king d5, he wants like queen a8. So he has queen h8 open.
Right. Yeah.
But I guess black is
Black can play king d6.
king d6, right?
Yeah, and still I don't think white can take the pawn. Black should have the best shot.
On king d5, though, we also have the option. Don't we have knight f4?
Mm-hmm.
Right.
At the very least, we have knight f4, so black has to worry about that.
And then taking with the queen, Jesse, or
Right. Well, I mean, maybe you could take with a pawn, but my instinct was queen.
yeah.
Okay. Yeah, and then queen a3.
So that's why he played king e4, because he was worried he didn't want to deal with that.
Right.
King e4 on the board.
But looks like white can play knight g3 now. And black has to go back to king d5. Otherwise he loses the knight. So,
Right.
d5.
So we should mention king e3, and the variation that I'm saying is king e3, queen b3, and the knight goes. If king e5, you've got to worry about queen h8. And yeah, there's loads of problems here. What about king f3?
Yeah, there should be some queen b7 and you may lose it.
Yeah, it looks like queen b7 should be winning.
Yeah.
Right.
King d5 is the only move here, I think. But then queen b5, check. King d6, 5, king c7, king c4, should win the knight.
Oh, that's starting to look really clear. So queen b5, king d6
Knight
forced.
c5 is only move. No, knight c5 is
Oh, knight c5 only move. Yeah.
right. And then maybe e4.
Yeah. Now there's no knight g5 and no counterplay.
Right, I think it's a forced win for white now. Yep. White can win the knight. King d5, queen d5, knight c5, e4.
Uh-huh. So
Then
king
knight
d6
Knight f4.
and f5. So this is looking close to over.
Yeah, he probably is going to decide in one or two more moves.
Yeah, black is running out of moves. Queen b5. Knight
I
c5.
was very impressed by this game, by the way. Maybe if we have a moment, we can show the earlier position. That was just like so hard to evaluate.
Let me take a second to see the game from the beginning.
Sure.
Oh, I think it's on theory. Till 1 something. I didn't see this f4 before. On move 21.
Mm-hmm.
So, but it looks like this is correct again. So, yeah, white is playing very risky strategically because you have the worst pawn structure. But I guess this knight and d5 is a very strong attacking piece.
Yeah, we were really impressed by this move on 28 with king h1.
Yeah,
White
it
thought
reminds
about-
me of a Kasparov move, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. And what's weird about it is, we yeah, so we suggested King E7 in our little analysis, but it's so weird because White's not really threatening anything concrete yet after King H1. But after Rook E7, he actually after King E7, he did have a trick with this Rook F5 thing at the very end.
Right.
It's very impressive with the Rook F5, and then he was better. So in this position, maybe White's actually better. It's hard to believe, but for me, it was hard to believe. But I guess so.
Yeah, this is an amazing game.
Hey, let us ask you about Jeffrey's game as well. It looks like Amin has won the game after E4. Black resigned.
Yeah, congratulations. That was a great game.
Wow, his opponent Esipenko, he wrote thanks in the game chat. It's funny. Liam, if you don't mind taking a look at Jeffrey's game.
Okay.
Here, I'll link it because it's probably not live anymore. We would wonder, how do you evaluate the position on move?
Can you send me the link?
Oh yeah, it's in
I see
in
it
the
now.
Zoom. Yeah.
Okay.
Let's say move 25. Rook takes d5.
Yeah. What's your intuition about this?
So let me see. Wow, that's a crazy game. Wow. Yeah, I'm impressed with how he sacked the piece and got a very strong attack. So, Rook d5 is a good move, I guess. Queen d5 is my first intuition, but I think Rook takes d5 is also should be very, very good.
So you feel like White is doing well?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, with such a exposed king, I don't think Black can survive this.
Okay, interesting.
Jesse wasn't impressed.
Well, I wasn't that I wasn't impressed. I just thought like I didn't understand the position. Like one thing that was weird about it for me was just Black has so many different moves, and then in the postmortem, I just suggest Queen B6, which I get it. It's like a little weird because the queen's going away from the king, but I couldn't find anything. And also Jeffrey couldn't find anything to do for White, and I just believed in the Black position because the bishop on f6 and the rook on f7.
Yeah, I mean, if you have time to consolidate, you're probably okay. But doesn't White have some immediate tactic with rook take b7? I don't know.
And then rook takes.
Yeah. Rook f7.
Oh, sorry. What move did we play for Black after Rook takes
we
d5?
Queen b6. We're going down the line that we looked with Jeffrey.
Right,
so
right.
Queen b6, rook d7, rook d7, Queen e6, rook f7,
Rook takes h7.
Bishop h7, King g7. Maybe you could play King f8 with King e7.
Actually, earlier in the chat, there was a suggestion for Bishop e4.
Yeah.
That looks interesting.
I mean, you can take the pawn first and then go back. So, how do you defend that knight? Rook c7?
I guess. What's that?
No, but the king is still exposed. Queen g4, I think you can. Oh, queen f5. Maybe queen f5.
Yeah. Huh. Okay. Bishop e4. Yeah, that's a cool move.
Nice. I forgot who suggested that in the chat, but it was a while ago. So +1 for that.
Yeah, but also these lines are very, very difficult to calculate. It's just like my game yesterday with Russia. And I think I was winning at one point, but the line is so difficult to calculate, even in classical game. So I mean, there was an intermediate move at the end, and it wasn't so easy to spot it from like several moves ago. So it was, I mean, that was kind of the type of position that if you see everything, you will win very nicely. But if you make this one mistake, you lose the game, which is what I did. So those type of position are extremely tough to play.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, let's switch back to the last live game. And looks like Param is, just living off the increment here.
Mitch Fabian says that he's living off of increment. How can I work under these conditions?
It looks drawish now because King D7, and I guess Black will get Invitational. For example, King D7, Queen D5, right? Queen D5, and maybe King D8. I don't know. King D8 looks like a good move. White cannot take on E5 because there is some Queen D2, King G3, King, so the Queen takes H2.
That's a good trick.
Nice.
So if White take that pawn, then Queen D2 or Queen D2 should be drawn. Just give the relationship.
One thing I like about that line is Queen E5, Queen E2, King G1. You can still play Queen H2 if you want.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, actually I think that's the best move. Yeah, because otherwise the king can go to H3. So Queen take H2, Queen take H2, Knight H3.
Does Black win this endgame? No.
Probably no.
Probably draw, yeah.
No, wait, it's not that clear because
You go King D6 or F6, yeah.
Uh-huh. King E2. King F2 maybe.
You gotta wait it out.
no. But maybe Black doesn't need to go King D8. Maybe Black can just go Queen E2 check. And then I want to go back to Queen C7. Maybe Queen C2 check and Queen C7.
King E7 is on the board.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we're gonna see how this goes. And I guess we should mention King E7 wasn't forced. He could have played Knight E6 as well.
Right. But the knight is good there, so you
Sure.
want to keep the knight there for a while.
Sure. And we're Queen D5 was played, so we're assuming King D8.
Maybe Queen C2 is better.
Well, do you guys think Black is just okay, should be okay with the draw here? Because then it feels like can do that immediately with Queen D2 and...
Yeah, probably Black should have played that, yeah. But here, what about Queen F7? Is that a move?
Huh.
Okay, that could get spicy.
That's dangerous.
Queen F7, Queen...
He did play Queen E5.
Okay. So this has to be a draw now.
Wow, Queen E5.
Yeah, you have to go Queen D2 and Queen E2 and then check out H2.
Oh, we might get this king and pawn endgame.
Yeah, this pawn endgame is interesting because let's say Queen E2, King G1, Queen H2, Queen H2, Knight F3, King G2, Knight H2, King H2, King D7, King G2. So if White can get the king to D4 and play E5, oh, it's still a draw. No, actually no. If White can get a king to D4, it's a win for White.
What if Black, after King G3, tries King D6, King F3,
Yeah,
and
that's what I'm
King
thinking, King
C5? Yeah.
Yeah, King E3, King C4. Yeah, that's a very nice idea. Probably the only idea. No, but after King D6, King F3, King C5. Oh yeah, you're right. So White had to play for draw there. King E3, King C4, E5, King D5, King D3, King E5, King E3.
And this is still a draw, right?
Right.
Unfair, but true.
Oh, Queen
Yeah.
E2 check on the board.
Queen
King
E2,
G1.
yeah.
Oh, he can still take. Okay, doesn't change anything. And White's turning Queen E8, so it's hard for Black to do anything else really, other
Yeah,
than give a
he's
check.
calculating this pawn end game for sure, because if you take on h2, you have to be sure that you must see that king c5, king c4, otherwise you may even lose.
He did it.
Oh, King E2. Hold on, thank
Oh,
you.
I think
Dr.
we get a
Mad.
lot of points though. We get a lot of points. We saw all that stuff.
With all that stuff, yeah.
So who said Queen H2? Liam said Queen H2. No, but Jesse
Oh,
said Queen H2 on King G1.
Oh, king e6, and then I think his plan is to bring the king to g6 and play h5. Oh, that also work.
Yeah, we had Dr. Mad point out actually in this line after King C5, King C4, White has King E2
Oh,
and actually triangulates.
oh, that's nice.
Oh yeah. Uh-huh.
I see, I see.
So King E6, King F3 on the board,
Uh-huh.
and then we're expecting King F6 here.
King f6, king e3, king g6, maybe just in time to push h5.
Right.
Oh, actually, king e3, king e5.
Yes, then we have the draw with King F3 and E5 if we want.
I'm thinking if white can play king e3 now, white may even lose because king e5.
But can't we go
If
King?
you want to, yeah, king e2 is a clear draw. If you play king g6 and then h5.
Oh, that's a nice point. You don't even have to worry about it.
Yeah, I think this plan with king e6, king f6 is the best. Like, so I wonder play really a good plan. It's king e3 now, king e5, king d3, king f4, king d4, king g4, e5. Maybe king h5? I don't know.
Hmm.
Okay, we got King E2 on the board.
Yeah, this is clear draw now.
King G6.
Yeah. That'll be a draw.
Cool. Well, thanks so much for coming on, giving us your thoughts on the
Okay.
games. Best of luck in the last 2 rounds, and hopefully we can maybe talk to you on Friday.
Okay, thank you very much.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Thanks so much. We'll be right back, guys, with the end of the round.
Goodbye.
All right, guys, we got the last game just finished. Draw and Param versus a Wonder. We got a chance to talk to a Wonder 2 days ago. He had a actually really interesting game against Param with reverse colors that they also drew. I'm gonna see if maybe we can get Param to join the interview. He can give us his thoughts on the game. Jesse, how are you doing on time? Are you okay?
Yeah, I can hang out a little bit. Yeah.
Cool. Just ping him on Skype. In the game on chess.com, Param says, "Okay, we both missed our chances. 1-1 is normal." Because the first game, I wonder, he actually missed, I think, at least one very clear forced win. Maybe more than one, but at least one, yeah. So he's probably referring to that.
Wonder's having a good event. It's too bad for him this isn't FIDE rated, right? Man, oh man.
Yeah. Okay, looks like a Wonder is down to join, and Param. So let's bring them both in. We'll be right back, guys, and we'll have the players on discuss this game.
Here comes the
Hey everyone, we're back. We've got Grandmasters Awonder Liang and Param Magsudlu with us, who just drew their game. Thank you guys so much for joining us. It was like really interesting game. I know you guys are tired. I would like to ask you about. Let's just go to the position after move. Maybe 25. Rook takes b5 when white won the pawn. How did you guys evaluate things here? Maybe we can start with Param.
Okay, I was very happy about myself to play and such a nice game because I think here the black is completely outplayed and I'm a pawn up. Okay, this knight on e3 defending everything. Also, okay, maybe before that I had better opportunities, but this is also a pawn and I really like my position. I think it should be something like +1 probably.
How about you, Wonder? Did you feel the same, or do you think you're okay? Oh, we can't hear you, Wonder, for some reason. Maybe wrong mic setup.
I'll just try this then.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
So anyway, here I thought I was okay because I mean, I thought his king is quite weak, so I always have some compensation. But I mean, I think Parham is probably correct because like the next couple moves, I just wasn't really able to generate enough counterplay against his king. I mean, I don't know. Here I still feel like, because I thought the b pawn wasn't so important, but as it turned out, like I had other weaknesses like the d6 pawn. But yeah, this position to me still feels a little unclear. But yeah, definitely over the next couple moves, like the situation got clarified, and
Right.
yeah, he was better.
Interesting. Yeah. We were both thinking. We should admit that we were both thinking that we would both rather be black in this position. But it's interesting to hear Parham say that because, of course, right? Like they have different opinions, and I sensed it right away. I was like, oh, we could have different opinions about who we think is better in my here. But yeah, me and Gostya both wanted to rather be black in this position. It just seemed more fun.
Just seemed more fun, yeah. I think Liam, he was closer to Parham here. I think he definitely wanted white in the extra pawn. But he, super GM, professional.
Right.
Now, do you guys feel like white missed any big chances in the game to put more pressure?
Yeah, probably. I was a bit careless at some moment. I could play much better.
Mm.
Yes. Okay, here knight c4 is very good because after queen c7 I have rook c1.
Yeah.
Yeah, in case of yeah, here before knight a5 is a serious threat.
Right.
Okay, and any other move instead of king g7 will queen a8 will happen and just win for white. So I didn't see any better move than king g7. But here I had some extra options. I think queen d6 is winning, but also rook c1 is possible here.
And now on queen a8, is white just going queen c7, or what's happening?
Queen a8, yes, queen c7.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
I mean, maybe here I can even go rook b2 and just try and get some compensation there.
Right. Sure.
Gotcha.
But queen c7, maybe you can play for win.
Oh.
Okay, yeah, sure. But just in general, I think, yeah, if I have the chance to sack the exchange, then it's fine.
Okay, so queen d6.
King e1. Okay, here rook b1 is only chance. I think other moves lose very easy.
Right. Yeah, knight was hanging, rook was hanging, so take.
Yeah, I think between king e2 and king d2, maybe king e2 was better. Okay, I had very strong knight which could defend all checks, so not so sure that okay, better to defend checks with knight d2 or with this knight e3 knight c2 idea.
Mm-hmm.
But here maybe I have a queen b5, and then if
Yeah,
queen
queen
c6,
b5, queen c6.
then like queen b4 maybe.
Yes.
think it might be tricky. Like if I get knight c5 or
Oh, yeah,
something,
yeah.
maybe it's
Okay,
tricky.
king e2 is normal move. Let's see king what I played here. King d2,
Mm-hmm.
knight e3. Here I think h4 was not a good move. I like knight c2 more because after knight c2 then I can play h4 and it doesn't have so many checks here. And now h4 g4 is coming, and I think queen should defend the knight, so there are not so many good places for black pieces.
Interesting.
For example, if queen f5 check, just king c1, and then I push h4, g5, or h4, h5, and I can't see move for black.
I mean, I think the only idea I have is maybe like some king g8, knight c5, but like if he defends correctly, it shouldn't really work. And probably here h4, queen a5, we
Yes.
can just go queen b4 or something.
Yes.
And yeah, I don't know, maybe queen a7. I think I can still fight, but yeah, I mean, it's quite difficult,
Yes.
obviously.
Wow.
Yeah, it seemed really tough. I mean, towards the end, actually, yeah, I wasn't
This
clear.
idea was very normal to go with king to c3 and make it safe, but this was not really good. Here knight b3, queen d3 is very good idea. I missed it. Okay, here after queen d3, I think g5 is not good because of h5.
Mm.
But if you take on g5, then I'm winning. Because I have some queen, I have some queen f2 knight g4 idea somewhere.
Right.
If I remember good. Yeah, but if h5, then I don't have knight g4, and then this is very bad for white.
Mm-hmm.
And also, okay, this pawn will let him to be safe because his king is very safe. So I decided to make some weakness on his king, and I was curious that after at some moment I played king f2, but I think queen b7 should win somehow. Okay, here queen b1, yeah, knight h2, king g2, queen b2, and here I think queen b7 should win.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I wasn't sure because I have to bring the king up, like king f6.
Yes, queen b6, king g5, king g5, I think only move, yes.
Yeah.
Queen d8, king f4, queen f6, so sorry, queen f8, queen f8,
Mm-hmm.
yes. King e3, or maybe king g5 was interesting.
Wait, king g5, f. Oh, f4, king h4. Wait,
No, queen h6. Oh yes, I have f4. So
yeah,
king,
4. Okay.
yeah,
That's
king
nice.
e3 is only move. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
king e3, queen h6, king e2, queen c1, and I should win very easy. I think I just missed queen f8 because I was analyzing queen f6 check, king e3, queen e5, and okay, also maybe also this is winning because queen f6, king e3, queen e5. Here, if queen e2 check and then knight f3, I have queen g3, king h3. After knight f3, I have queen g3. Okay, this is I don't know why I didn't play this. Very fun.
Didn't you have like 1 minute on your clock or something?
Yeah, but my internet was somehow unstable and I wanted to play safe. I don't know.
No, I don't blame you. I mean, You got
Yeah, I think I
little
should go
time.
for it. I think. Queen b7 and then okay, because in worst case I can back to b2 and don't lose. But
Uh-huh.
yeah, I should go for this.
And if the king goes to the 7th rank,
Okay, queen c7 and queen e5.
Yeah,
Okay.
I just don't have enough counterplay on the king. Like, I think after the game with g5, then suddenly, like, I take control of f4 square, there's a lot more counterplay.
uh-huh.
It's harder to, yeah.
Yeah, and here also if he doesn't play g5, then g5 is serious threat for white.
Oh yeah.
Now I'm playing g5, yeah, and I have some after h5, I have some check and then jump.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, but after here I think I prefer to be black because go back for white. I think after d6 you could play queen h1 and play for them.
Queen h1.
Yes.
What if
I
king
can
g3 or?
No, king g3 I think I'm mate.
Oh,
Because
queen e1, okay.
queen e1, knight e2, and then mate is.
Oh, knight e2, yeah.
Oh man.
That's nice.
And I must go king e3, and if I get lucky, this will be draw. Probably is losing. This should be some mate with this king. For example, queen d1 here, interesting move, or queen e1 check, and then queen d1.
Yeah.
Okay, for example, you can see queen d1.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, here knight c2, queen e1, knight e3, queen h4. Serious threat.
Wait, what if d7 or?
Okay, knight c2, queen e1, knight e3, queen h4.
No, I can take on c2, no? Or
Where? Oh. Okay, wait. Let me think. What if queen e1 check and then queen d1?
I don't know. I guess you just run out like king c4 and maybe hope a little bit. But it's not. I don't know. I can try something like queen c1, maybe king b4 is first. If like king d5, maybe king f6 is tricky.
Yes, yes.
I don't know. It's a little weird.
But
But king b4.
king f6, I think I have queen a8.
Oh, I don't have any checks. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. Okay. This is weird.
Knight e6, queen h8.
Yes.
Yeah.
Probably I was winning after this queen b7, queen d6, and queen f8 check or queen f6 check. But okay, he was also he had +8 in our previous game, so this is normal result.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, maybe knight e6 here suggested from the chat. Definitely makes sense.
Knight e6 yes.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, only I think with knight on h2 only black can play for him.
Yeah.
I think d6 is very stupid idea. Okay, whole idea was very stupid. I should go queen d7 check. Okay.
Right. I wonder, did it were you playing for a win at any point, did you feel?
I don't know. I thought I had enough counterplay to force a draw, but I didn't really consider playing for a win. I felt like, his now in h2 is a little bit silly, but also it defends the king quite well. Or I'm not. At least that was my feeling. So.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, can we check this endgame? Here, this d8 check.
Yeah.
Because I was thinking that this queen h2 idea is not working because I will be winning, but on that position it was work. Because after queen d5 check, you should go queen c8, king c8,
Hmm.
because otherwise I will take e5 with check. Okay, and now queen e5, queen e2 check, king g1. Maybe
Isn't
here
this
I'm
the
winning.
same?
No. See?
I think it's the same as the game, right?
I think you guys had this position in the game.
King g1, king e2. Oh yes, king with. Yeah. If I have my king on d3 is winning, yes? For example, with the king on e6 and king on d3.
Hmm.
Yeah, then I can't play h5. But yeah, here I think I'm in time.
King d3, king f6, king d4, king g6, e4, e6. Yeah, I have. E6,
So if
king
we
e5.
just give white some extra
Yeah,
move,
for
or even
example,
with
here-
black to play, right?
Yes. Okay, king e6 here. Okay, king f6, king d4. Yeah, even with king on g6 here, I'm winning because of e5, h5, and gh5, e6.
Wait, e6? Oh, yeah.
I guess king d5 and
Yes. And yeah, with one tempo.
one tempo.
But
Nice.
but I considered wrong because this was draw and my king was not so fast.
But you thought you were worse here, so you were happy with the draw at this point, or still optimistic?
Yeah, at this point I knew that I can't, I can never lose because of I have d8, then so many checks. But
Gotcha.
but when my pawn was on, okay, I mean after king f6, then I was out of losing chances. But if instead of king f6 some other move, then this was possible to lose.
Nice. Well, guys, thanks so much for coming on, talking about the game. I got 2 more rounds left, so best of luck to both of you. Hopefully we'll see you guys. We'll be back on Friday.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
All right,
Thank-
bye everybody.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you,
We'll
bye.
be right back. Wrap up the show. All right, guys. Well, that was really actually that was really cool to see just how they analyze. You can always tell like the chat was silent. They were just listening.
I was silent too.
Yeah, like no one wanted
For
to say anything.
Yeah.
They just want to listen. But that was really cool.
Yeah. So we're coming back on Friday, and maybe a repeat with you and David at first, and then I'll come on later or something like that.
Yeah, I think David said he would be around on Friday. If you can come on, that would also be great. We'll be back at 8 a.m. They're going to be playing another round tomorrow. You guys can check out those games on chess.com. And yeah, shout out again to the Pacific Northwest Chess Center for putting on this event. They were just sponsoring the tournament, giving some of our strong players a chance to play and a chance for us to watch some classical chess. So it's much appreciated.
Yeah, and shout out to Kostya, who did this whole thing, engineering behind the scenes and going the distance. It's exhausting, and he looks fresh. Look at him. He looks real fresh
Thanks.
after all this.
This did happen, yeah, like literally overnight this week. So thanks, Jesse. Are you
All right.
streaming at all today?
Today, not that I'm aware of. No.
Oh, okay.
I was doing all kinds of other stuff, and I have more stuff to do later, but I'm not streaming. Yeah.
Oh, no worries. All right, guys, we will catch you all next time.
All right, bye, everybody.